to the Horror Hangout podcast, where three bearded film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time. My name is Luke Condor Kate. I'm joined by my regular co-host, Mr.
Ben Errington.
And our other semi-regular co-host, Mr.
Andy Conduit Turner. Hey.
And returning guest, sort of a co-host in a way. Who have we got here?
Temma from the Valkyries.
Hey.
Non-bearded, but I feel left out.
Yeah. Draw one on.
It's all right.
Honestly, I would. You know it. I would bring that. If I'd have known that was on the table, I'd have put one on.
It's not a deal breaker. You know, we don't go, come on the podcast, but have a beard prepared, please.
You really
I feel
should.
more in the club.
Exclusive club. Yeah.
How is everyone? Everyone okay?
Good, thank
Good. Very well. How are you, Luke?
Yeah, good. That's fair. Just ate a ton of pizza. I think we all ate a ton of pizza.
you. Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. All pizza full. All nursery. In about half an hour, you guys are just going to be slowly drifting off.
You're going to be the only one awake.
Full of pizza. I'll be the only one awake. I'll be really animated. Just going, this film is absolutely crap. Oh my god. And everyone just going, oh, it's all right, I suppose.
Yeah. Have we got any news?
Have we got any news? What, horror news or just news in general?
Yeah, horror news, yeah.
Got some horror news. A few things this week. We'll talk about Resident Evil first because I know a few people... Well, has everybody here played the new demo?
No, not yet. But it's okay, I don't mind spoiling.
You don't mind spoilers? There's not
really any
too much you can
spoilers.
spoil.
No, there's not too many spoilers. I guess it's a lot of it's confirming stuff that we've kind of already knew or kind of had heard a lot about. So obviously the Resident Evil showcase was, 5 days ago now? Well, no, when was it?
Sunday night or
Thursday,
I think.
yeah, that's right.
in the past.
It was in the past at some point. So there was absolutely loads of stuff announced. So we saw new trailers, new gameplay footage for Village, news of a new demo, and then the new demo was released on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
A new Mercenaries mode, which hasn't been around since which installment? Resident Evil 5, possibly?
I think it was in 5 to a degree, right? It was
Yeah.
the big feature in 4, certainly.
Yeah, so there's that. There's Resident Evil's going to be in Dead by Daylight as well, which is very, very exciting. Resident Evil 4 VR, on that.
That is cool, but it's like a Quest. Okay, yeah.
Hopefully it'll come to other...
It's a Quest exclusive, I think. They've money's changed hands. There's been a contract, which...
Oh.
I mean, Resident Evil 4 has been on every platform since GameCube, right? Since what feels like the beginning of time. A gaming platform has not existed until Resident Evil 4 has been playable on it. So I'm sure this VR version will be available on something else eventually.
Well, so Oculus Quest, they're the cheap was 350 quid or something like that. So if you get that, you get Half-Life Alyx. It pays for itself at that point, I reckon.
That's how it works. It's just paying for itself. This game that I'm playing.
I am tempted. It's really good. My PC is by no means good enough, so that's probably the biggest barrier for me.
Well, Oculus Quest is you can get it towerless, so it's all built into the. Although I know some games need the extra juice, so maybe Resident Evil 4 and Half-Life do need a tower. I'm not too sure.
In that case, the only real thing that puts me back is the gross have to have a really be active on Facebook and I don't know. I haven't even read the full T's and C's, but it makes me feel a bit dirty knowing that that's the thing that's tied into it. So,
yeah. Yeah, true.
Sell your soul.
But the main thing is, though, I think in many ways, Resident Evil 4 VR is in itself exciting, but because it's not a complete remake, it's just a polished up version of the existing one into VR, then I feel less aggrieved that I might be missing out if I don't have the hardware, because at least I've played that version of Resident Evil 4 in third person.
Yeah. Cool. And then there was a trailer for the Netflix animated series Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. That's what it's called, isn't it?
Yeah.
When I said that out loud, then it just sounded wrong. And I think that was it. So then, obviously, the demo was released on Sunday for 8 hours. So it's the village area. So I'm assuming this is like the first area or very early on in the game. Yeah, so there's like a bit of story. We get to come face to face with some enemies. You're Ethan again from Resident Evil 7. So it was only available for 8 hours, but then you could only play for like 30 minutes, couldn't you?
Yeah.
And then next week's going to be the castle version.
Castle. Yeah.
Bit of castle. Yeah. So what did you guys think from what you played?
I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like straight away, like I'm a fan. I always knew I was going to enjoy it.
Considering we're talking about Van Helsing today as well, like I
Oh
was
yeah,
getting major Van Helsing vibes, and vice versa when I was watching Van Helsing.
yeah. I thought exactly the same. So I liked that it kind of felt a bit more like Resident Evil 2 remastered than 7, which like I know it's kind of a similar sort of setup to 7, but it felt a bit more Resident Evil-y with the I can't remember what they were, like the big keys for the door, the big circle things.
Oh, those big stone tablets, right?
Yeah, they're like these huge big circle things, and you've got to get like the maiden and something else and something else. So I like that. I'm excited that there's more puzzly aspects.
Is it scary? Like, I mean, because I think Resident Evil 7 was a scary one.
I felt it was a different type of scary in this demo. I think the action you get is not just a werewolf comparison, but scary and horror in the way that something like Dog Soldiers was. There's like a monster in like a space, but it isn't like the creeping going around an abandoned house that we had in Resident Evil 7 quite so much. It's a lot more action, I guess, oriented in this particular scene.
But from looking at the new footage that was released sort of like after that as well, it looks like when you're in the castle area, you are going to be stalked by Lady Dimitrescu in a similar way that Jack would have stalked you in Resident Evil 7. So it looks like, again, what Resident Evil seems to be really good at is like marrying styles of like previous games that have worked really well. So like going, let's set it somewhere that's essentially like Resident Evil 4, but it plays like Resident Evil 7, and we're going to bring some new elements from the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes into it as well. And then just randomly add vampires and werewolves. I say randomly. Obviously, there was some thought that went behind it, but
just roll the dice.
Werewolves, vampires, gargoyles. There's like flying things. It's insane considering like it's gone right. Gothic horror. There was a bit of that in Resident Evil 7, but this time we're going to crank it all the way up to 10.
Maybe they'll eventually get it there, right? Because I know that if you go back to the history of Resident Evil, when it evolved beyond Raccoon City, one of the directions it went eventually stopped being Resident Evil and became Devil May Cry. So maybe that's, some of those ideas they had for like your gothic castles and your more, gothic horror monsters. Maybe they've managed to bring some of those back in now that Resident Evil is such a sprawling franchise that you're not just in the traditional spaces of monsters anymore. I'm looking forward to having like some of the mechanics, as you say, Ben. It's like a real combination of some of the most successful bits, and it looks like Lady D is going to be a bit like Lycans downstairs with the sound of things.
Put the doors up.
Yeah, it does sound like she's going to be almost like a Mr. X character in her part of the castle, chasing you in and out around the thing, and apparently she's going to be unstoppable, but she is wearing a hat, so I'm definitely going to try and shoot it off.
It's a big old floppy hat.
I'm going to cast one and say, Ascot's cancelled. Bang.
Like I've never been prepared to be terrified of someone in such a floppy hat, but I'm ready. I'm ready for that fear.
We know, Heather, I know you and I have spoken about this before. I know the one thing you're hoping for is a return from everyone's favourite DLC character, Punchy Uncle Joe from the end of Resident Evil 7.
I played that.
Robot hand, dude.
Yeah, Robot Punch Uncle Joe, yeah.
Oh my god.
He'd put down those vampires.
He would. He'd just turn up and be like, right.
That's it. Who's getting a punch in first?
Rock'em sock'em robots, and it'd be like Iron Fist Joe coming out.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that. Go and play it. Well, go and play it. You
Can't.
can. Go and play. Go and play the castle one when it comes out this weekend.
I think you get another shot at both, right?
Yeah, I was going to say,
Sorry, Hetty,
doing
let's
both,
say.
I think, the week after.
It's strange, really, that they time limited it, considering there was such a distinct end of the demo anyway.
Yeah.
You'd almost think just don't time limit it.
I don't know why. Like, is it an attempt to make sure that everyone is on the socials talking about playing it in the same window?
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter then, because all of your media outlets are going to have captured the stream and be posting their videos about it anyway. So I think it's the best idea anyone's ever had. I would rather have just been able to play it a few times.
I saw people posting things like, I finished it in 4 minutes or something. I was like, well, what a waste.
Yeah,
why would you do that? What is the point? Just sprint through it.
Skip the cutscene, skip everything. I bet if you've been going through those people that have said that, Ben, and just replying to, have a fucking sweet, you idiot. Really?
Exactly. How lame. Yeah, so that's that. Loads of Resident Evil news. What a great time to be a fan of Resident Evil, eh?
It's 25 years. I actually feel like withering away to dust, but apart from that.
It's been 25 years. Other news, the new Scream, so Scream 5, which is just called Scream, apparently it's got multiple scripts and multiple edits of those scripts to avoid people spoiling it, I guess. How do you feel about that? That sounds kind of mad.
Wait, it's just to throw people off if there's a leak or something. Is that?
Well, they have to film them, so effectively you've got to make even if the edits and changes are only 20% of the movie.
Yeah.
That's going to be such you're having to waste people's money, precious resources, having to be wasted. You can make a whole film's worth. People could just agree not to spoil things.
Maybe they're gonna try and have different cuts get announced, and people can rally around for another version in 20 years. Time.
Yeah.
The killer wasn't the person I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So apparently,
do a Cluedo and show in different cinemas you could release a different ending.
Oh, I'd love that. That'd be amazing.
Those DVD extras.
Yeah.
When it comes out on video, VHS.
Yeah.
So apparently there was a draft of the Scream 2 script, which says famously here, but I don't remember it, leaked online, forcing last-minute rewrites that changed the movie's ending. I don't know if they changed who the killer was in that, because it was obviously tied in quite nicely to the first film. So
I heard about that recently, actually. I was listening to a podcast called Scaredy Boys. It's very good. And they were talking about their guest wrote their thesis on Scream 2, I think.
Oh, nice.
And they shared that same story, and apparently as a result of that leak, on days of Scream 2, they were almost writing the night, the filming was going on. They're having to rewrite the script as they were filming it.
Wow.
and it still turned out well, right? We've certainly seen during the writers' strike, years later, other things turned out absolute bobbins because of having to rewrite last minute.
There we go. Maybe it's a good thing. Blessing in disguise.
They did all right.
Didn't they? Yeah. What else we got here? So Brian Duffield, not the first time we're going to mention him on this show today, but the writer of Underwater, Love and Monsters, and he wrote and directed Spontaneous. Still haven't seen that. You've seen that, Luke, haven't you?
It's one of my favourite films now, I think. It's amazing.
Whatever.
It's up there. Yeah, I mean, the people who I know who've seen it as well have all said they didn't expect to have that much of an emotional response to it. It's really good. It's surprisingly cutting. Yeah, I recommend it.
So his next movie is called No One Will Save You, and there's no sort of tagline or anything, but it says it's a genre project. But Caitlin Dever from Booksmart is attached to star in it as well.
Oh, great.
She's
so
ace.
Yeah, she is ace. Yeah. So yeah, that'd be cool. She was attached to play Ellie, wouldn't she, in the Last of Us series? But then it never materialized.
I think it was more of a fan cast than an actual cast.
Okay.
Because I think she's
older
than they wanted. Yeah.
That sounds exciting. And also, I thought I'd mention the Fangoria 2021 Chainsaw Awards, which you can watch now on YouTube. But I thought I'd just mention some of the winners and how you guys feel about these. So certain things like Best Wide Release, The Invisible Man, Best Limited Release, Color Out of Space, Best International Film, La Llorona, which is like the Shudder one, isn't it?
Not the Nun one.
It's the not Conjuring one, right? But it's related to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Best Streaming Premiere Movie, Host. Obviously, we had Jed on last week, which is cool. And then Big Bad Lee Wannell. He's won everything. He's won Best Director,
my little
Best Screenplay.
Twitter pal, Lee Wannell.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How does he say his name, Heather?
I've no clue. I had to say my pal who did The Invisible Man, Lee. Like, yeah.
They're on first name terms.
Yeah.
Like,
I made some
Mr.
comment.
Wannell or Wannell.
I made a comment on Twitter about the scene in the restaurant.
Yeah.
And it just went like bananas. And he was like, I'll give you a little follow. I was like, oh, thanks.
Really? Wow.
Best mates now. Yeah.
How lovely.
Yeah.
I say
one day I'll get the courage to message him and be like, do you want to come on a podcast? But that day has not happened yet.
That day is today. Do it live on the
he
show.
comes in.
We'll see. He's here. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Lee
Got his Invisible Man costume on.
Lee Wannell, like flannel. You know, you say flannel like flannel. Lee Wannell. Yeah.
I think it's
Well,
like
maybe now
Wannell, like
it's Wannell.
Pinell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you say that when you're
Thank
watching
you,
his
Nick.
films. On that like scene in that restaurant, all that goes off. Oh, Lee Wannell. See? Rolls off the tongue.
We need to get him on just to clear up the discourse surrounding his name, I believe. So yeah, that's pretty much that. I need to catch up and watch the awards ceremony. I think I'll do that just to see, because I think most of the films that won I've seen. So things like best makeup effects was Possessor, best score Possessor as well. So
cool.
Best lead performance Elizabeth Moss.
Yeah.
I mean, The Invisible Man absolutely cleaned the floor.
Rightly so, right? It depends.
Like
Bearing in mind that Host was specifically called out for being the best streaming release, are we assuming that most other things are because they had a cinema release, that's their eligibility criteria? Or is everything in the mix for those things as well? But it makes with a narrower field, given what last year was like, all those examples you gave, Ben, I couldn't argue with any of them that they would deserve awards because they're all great.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds about right, doesn't it? Yeah, definitely.
Invisible Man was definitely the last thing I saw at cinema.
Yeah, The Invisible Man.
Yeah, The Invisible Man. It should be basically if we're because I remember as 2020 started, there were a lot of high-profile directors out there saying, "Oh no, you shouldn't really give awards to things that come on streaming services because it's really detracting from the cinema experience." And now, if they follow that rhetoric, you're going to have to give Sonic like several awards of best film of the year. So your move, fuckos. I haven't seen it yet.
Sounds about right to me.
Sonic versus the Eggman, as rather than the Invisible Man.
Yeah.
Did you just say you've not seen Sonic, Andy?
I've not seen Sonic. I missed it in the brief window of the cinema, but I do want to see it because
Jim Carrey's really good in it, I think. Yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic's in it.
Sonic's in it for a bit. Yeah. I kind of want to see the cut where it was with the original CGI where he had like weird little teeth. I want to see that.
The horrible cut.
If not, it's like it would become a horror movie then with his horrible little human teeth.
Get on the hashtags then, Ben. So you want the teeth cut of Sonic, the bumhole cut of Cats, which as well as the
bumhole cut of Cats is out there. Someone's got it in a vault somewhere, and they're not letting anyone near it. Very nice. But that's that in terms of horror news. Unless anybody else has seen anything this week, have a finger on the pulse. Is that it?
Mainly Resident Evil.
Yeah, that kind of took over, didn't it?
And I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
I mean, I scored the one internet page I look at, and I couldn't see anything else. So you know, I'm sure that was all that happened. Yeah. What about anybody seen anything Nice.
Well, before we get into that, I just wanted to read out a couple of reviews because I've been saying I was going to do this for about 2 months, I think. Something like
And we'll get to the end and forget it's a good time to do this.
So just before I do forget, so I'll read out a few. Maybe I'll do like a couple a week. I don't want to just rave on about ourselves too much. But Needle Rats posted, "This is my favorite horror podcast and helped me through a time when I was suffering with mental health. The two main hosts, plus the often present Mr. Sheets, have excellent banter, and although they are mainly just retelling the films, they keep you entertained throughout." That's from Needle Rats, who I think is Ben Scaife from the Facebook.
Pretty sure it's Ben
Thanks very much,
Scaife, yeah.
Ben.
Nice.
Oh, thanks, Needle Rats.
These are reviews about this podcast, right?
What?
They're reviews about this podcast. I'm just 100% sure.
Another review from Mr. Day said, "After randomly finding this recently, I've now lost about 2 weeks of my life going through all the episodes. This is great stuff with two very likable and knowledgeable chaps, no mention of me, weirdly, discussing some classics. Even the films I've not seen made for an interesting listen. Would love it if you visited some of the more controversial films, such as Cannibal Holocaust." I think we've done that one. And a Serbian film.
Now, yeah.
A Serbian film. I don't know if we'll get to that.
Maybe.
Yeah, thanks very much. I'll just do a couple a week because I don't want to blow too much smoke up our own arses.
You should do.
My ass feels pretty smoky.
It does feel really good.
Embrace the good things.
Embrace all the good stuff. But yeah, thank you. Thanks for reviews.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
If you're listening and you thought about leaving a review and you haven't left a review yet, then go and do it, innit?
Helps with those algorithms. And if you ever want Lee Wanell to come on for us to find out exactly how to pronounce his name, have to become the biggest horror podcast on the internet. It's the only way.
Yeah.
He's going to look up reviews, and if they're all terrible, he's going to not be interested. So make sure you leave a positive one. Please.
Lee Wanell is not interested in anything other than 5-star reviews. Take that from me.
Yeah. 100%.
Honestly, I've not seen that much this week. Been watching a lot of Legion, the TV show.
Oh yeah.
What about you guys?
Good question. What have I seen? Oh, I saw The Nun this week. Now, I've been putting off The Nun for a long time because all I've ever heard is terrible things about it. And the Conjuring spin-offs I've never really been interested in or at all, really. I've not seen Annabelle or whatever the other one is.
Award-winning film La Llorona.
or award-winning movie La Llorona. It's not the same one, though, is it? There's a Shadow one. There's a different one.
Oh, there you go. I've not seen that then. It's not
Annabelle Creation is worth watching, I would say.
Yeah, Annabelle's pretty good.
Annabelle's pretty good, did you say?
Yeah, as it goes. It's all right.
But me and my girlfriend decided to watch The Nun because we bonded over The Nun when we didn't know each other. So we had like a mutual friend, and I saw her post about The Nun, and I thought I'm going to slide straight into those DMs and ask her what she thought about The Nun. "Oh, I've been meaning to watch The Nun. Can you tell me if it's any good?" And she said, "No, it's not very good." And then that was literally the start of our conversation. And now, a few years later, obviously, we're still together, and we decided to watch The Nun and see if she liked it then or if I liked it at all. And no, I didn't like it at all.
Are you still together after this revelation? I hope this wasn't built up.
No, yeah. Are you going to watch The Nun or what? It's been like 3 years, and you said you watched The Nun. Oh yeah, I will. I'll get round to it.
She sat next to the whole time watching for your reactions for a scary bit, like.
Well, she was not impressed by it. I don't know how they got this so wrong because the setup, the location, and like the antagonist of The Nun is all amazing. It could make for like the perfect horror movie. It takes place in like a Romanian, what is it? Nunnery? Is that the word? What convent? Whatever.
Sure.
Convent.
I prefer nunnery.
Convent. Nunnery. And it's I'm not sure when it's set. Like the 40s, maybe earlier than that. Somewhere a long time ago. The nunties. And honestly, when it started, I was like, "Oh, the atmosphere is really good. I reckon this could be good." But it is so underwhelming because pretty much nothing happens. It's just like a non-event. People go into dark corridors. The nun jumps out. People shit themselves. That's it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of feces.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I've
not seen it.
That's the one I haven't seen. I think my favourite of all those. I like The Conjuring 2. Those spooky like 60s London voices are pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great.
And I will go and see The Bloody Devil Made Me Do It later this year. We know it's behind all the murders. It's the devil who's been fingered in the bloody title. But
who's been what?
The devil has been fingered in the title. For clarity.
But yeah, it was. I just thought it was just pretty naff, just one of those films. It was naff, and for ages I was like, because it's that Vera Farmiga who's in The Conjuring is her like younger sister.
Yeah.
And for ages I was like, she looks like her. How have they like made her look young or something? I was like so confused. I was like, all the budget's gone into making Vera Farmiga look young, but that was her sister.
What's the sister called? Like Teresa Farmiga or something along those lines.
Yeah.
She's in American Horror Story.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty tedious, and all the jump scares are kind of predictable, and it just hits all the beats you'd expect a modern horror movie, a bad modern horror movie to hit. Yeah.
Little benchmark then, Ben. Do you like it, The Nun, more or less than Bram's The Boy 2?
Oh Jesus, I barely remember anything about Bram's The Boy 2, The Boy Brahms 2, The Brahms Boy.
Bad Boy Brahms 2. Bad Brahms for life.
All I remember about The Boy 2 was there was a really shit bit, like a really it was supposed to be scary, but I was like, this is awful. And everybody sat in front of me in the cinema were like covering their eyes and grabbing each other. And I honestly wanted to go, are you serious? Are you lot serious?
I remember that.
Was that when the dolly broke and he was full of scabs? Was it that bit?
It could have been. It could have been it. One of a multitude of moments. But I was honestly like, I wanted to follow them out into the car park and go, excuse me, can I just ask, did you genuinely find that bit scary? Are you all right? You should see.
You could have scared them, then they'd have dropped their treasures as they'd run away, like those little gnomes in Golden Axe.
I was going to say Golden Axe.
What a reference!
What
a reference! That came completely out of left field, but I appreciate it. Blip blip.
Yeah. Fuck off.
Yeah. Fuck off, you little prick. I'm trying to sit by my campfire here, alright? Just get away from me. Anybody else seen anything this week? That would go so high?
I watched Let the Right One In.
Oh.
It's been like a massive gap in my horror knowledge. The proper one.
How did you find it?
I liked it. I just was like after some chill horror, and that like perfectly filled that void. Yeah, I thought it was very sweet as well, which you don't often get with like a horror film about like a sort of murder-leaning child and his vampire girlfriend. So
yeah, and he chooses the life of murder at the end as well. Like he makes the wrong decision. Yeah,
and I quite liked it like for that as well, because it wasn't like, oh, it's fine, he's now off to go and get like therapy that he clearly needs. It was like, no. Off they go to probably murder for years.
It's going to be a vampire assistant murderer.
Yeah.
It's going to be a TV show about it. I think I saw.
I think we discussed that on the horror news section a number of weeks ago.
Yeah.
How did you find the swimming pool scene, Heather?
I was like a little stressed with the little boy because I was like, this big brother's a bad like dick, clearly. And then when there was like an arm, I was like, yes, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like I like the little
bullies.
Yeah, I like the little vampire girl. I was like, go ahead, like get him. So yeah, I was made up. Loved it.
Amazing. A favourite of the podcast. I think both me and Luke rated that possibly around about the A+.
One of the highest.
Probably would have been an A+ for me. Yeah.
Yeah, would totally agree. It's funny as well. Like it's got some like really like dry comedy bits. Like and the guy's trying to like rig that guy up in a tree in his little like murder suit, and there's like a dog tootling round. Love it.
I need to watch it again. It's been a little while. I might even watch the remake. Let me in.
Let me in.
Let me in.
Let us in.
Let us in.
Yeah, let
us in, will you?
Open a door.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
watched Ginger Snaps as well, which was the first time.
Okay. First time. Yeah. What do you think?
I liked it. Again, like it was ridiculous. But I liked it for
Ridiculous.
like everything that it was like bringing to the table and their like angst. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
How was Georgie let you get away with not watching that before
No.
now?
I know, like
Oh,
it's just
yeah.
one of those films. Like, well, you know my feelings on werewolves, so I didn't watch a lot of werewolf media, other than Van Helsing. For years, I only watched Dog Soldiers as a fully grown adult because it scared me so bad as a child. So I had to watch it literally within the last 5 years for the first time ever.
Oh.
I know, it's surprising.
Mm.
Shocked. Stunned silence.
I'm stunned silent. I can't believe it. Obviously, we had Georgie on the podcast to discuss Ginger Snaps, didn't we?
Yeah.
Has she got a tattoo? The Ginger Snaps tattoo? I feel like she said she's got a tattoo of something she really likes.
Just
She's got a
Ginger Snaps
Jurassic
the word
Park.
in a hat.
She's got a
Mhm.
Jurassic Park one and a couple of Marvel ones.
Yeah.
Very
Too
nice.
sure.
No, she had a Jurassic Park tattoo. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to
Oh, yeah.
just gonna have to reevaluate how I rank everyone in coolness. Hang on, put it on the spreadsheet.
Yeah. She's annoyingly like very high on the list of the coolest people I know.
Yeah, I might have to put some new rows in here to make higher rankings available.
Just delete me off of it if you want, Andy. I know you're thinking about it. So just...
Then you solid top 10.
Oh.
Oh, right. There's only 12 people on then. Anybody seen anything else, or was that it?
That's it. I was
No.
gonna watch Love and Monsters, but didn't get around to it, so I will.
Oh,
That's
You
the
watched
future.
Love and Monsters, Ben, didn't you?
I watched Love and
Yeah,
Monsters.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I forgot
watched
about
that
that
as
when you said that. Did you say you watched that as well, Evan?
Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone's been watching it just because it appeared on Netflix, didn't it,
Yeah.
this week? Yeah, I really liked it. What did you think?
I thought it was nice. That it changed a few. Like I thought it was going to go one way, and it kind of went another. And I was like, okay, like there's
Mhm.
some kind of like particular storylines of like one chosen one hero that it kind of went against a little bit. So I like that. Loved the dog. Was a big
Yeah.
fan. Got a bit emotional when they gave him his own little saddlebags. Loved that
Oh
part.
yeah,
Yeah, loved it. And yeah, I like Dylan O'Brien. I
Me
think
too.
he's a bit underrated.
I'm
like-
not sure if I've ever seen him in anything before.
Maze Runner, I think.
Yeah, he's in Maze Runner, and he was in Teen Wolf, which I also stand by to not being terrible. But he has like one particular season in that where he's like the main guy, and he's really good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's just one of those guys I kind of like. I kind of recognize this dude, but I don't know what.
He's in that Vince Vaughn film when he works at Google. You know what I
Internship.
mean?
The
The
internship.
internship. Yeah. He's the guy who
Really?
never looks up from his phone. Yeah.
Okay.
I
I'm
think.
saying that like I
I
know.
would have never pulled that from the memory palace, I don't think. I guess things like that, because of films like Maze Runner, like I guess we just fall outside the demographic, and I know there are like 3 of them and they're very popular and the people that are in them are incredibly famous.
Yeah.
But they're just completely outside of like the sphere of visibility that I have. So I did the Hunger Games and then missed out on all of the others.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've only done like one of the Hunger Games. I haven't even watched all the Harry Potters. Ooh.
I've tried. I
Same
get a
here.
bit bored
Yeah.
around,
Yeah.
well, number 2. It's not for me.
I like The Prisoner of Azkaban because it seems
Got
like
Gary
they're
Oldman in it.
Is that the
Yeah.
werewolf one?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Got 10 minutes into the first one and annoyed my wife. Why is his family in prison for abusing this boy?
Yeah.
Plus, wizards are racist, so
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they are.
Yeah.
You dirty muggle.
yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen well, I have seen a Harry Potter, but I've never seen all the Harry Potters. And I haven't really got much interest in running around mazes or
No.
Hungry Games either.
Unless
I'd like-
it's hungry hippos.
Yeah, I like a
Oh,
maze, but I'm more inclined. It's a bit like playing football games on the PlayStation. If I'm gonna do a maze, I'd like to run round a maze on my own. Don't want to watch someone else do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And before you play a game, have something to eat, for God's sake. Don't go into a hungry.
Yeah.
It's called the Hunger Games, and in my
Yeah,
head, it's
it
called the
is,
Hungry
yeah.
Games now.
Maybe you win by being the most hungry though. And
I'm
the
famished.
games, there's loads of like big trifles and blancmanges and like nuggets, and it's like, no, thank you. I'm gonna win the Hungry Games.
Oh, right, okay. No, thank you. Just a little scoop of cream with hundreds of thousands on it, please. That'd do me.
No. That's how they get you. If you're gonna win the you've got a chocolate round your mouth. Fuck it.
Whipped cream's got no sustenance. I'm still hungry. Ah.
No.
What are we doing?
Other than that, maybe it's the mindset of the absolute bonanza of the film for this week, right? That's a segue for you.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
And
also
what was the
watched Van
film
Helsing.
this week?
By chance.
What- Yeah.
by chance. Well, I think we all did, which is a real coincidence. But
Luckily, we're all here today.
So Van Helsing is a 2004 American action gothic horror film written and directed by Stephen Sommers. I knew it was before I even actually knew. Like, I was like, this is definitely Stephen Sommers, isn't it? While I was watching it,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
it was. It stars Hugh Jackman as monster hunter Van Helsing, and Kate Beckinsale as Anna Valerious. The famed monster hunter is sent to Transylvania to stop Count Dracula, who is using Dr. Frankenstein's research and a werewolf for nefarious purposes.
Yeah.
You can never trust Count Dracula, can you?
So IMDb has it at 6.1. Rotten Tomatoes is down at 25% for the critic score, 57% for the audience score. Letterboxd is at 2.5. Some choice Letterboxd reviews here. Patrick Cotnoir says, perfect movie, no notes, 5 stars.
Patrick.
Ty Cena. But I shot myself halfway through, and now my ghost is writing this. I will now ascend to Valhalla. Goodbye, my child. Half a star.
Well, he shot himself because he didn't like it?
I think so. We gave it half star. Mel put a superior film, 5 stars.
Go ahead,
Didn't
Mel.
say
Yep.
what it's superior to, just it's a superior film. Carlisle Lauren. I'll level with you. I'm not absolutely 100% sure that none of the actors who they got to do a Romanian accent have ever heard a Romanian accent, but I am 99% sure. I thought that was a nice little turn of phrase. And the last one, Henny Halfstar put The Rise of Skywalker of Universal Monsters. I don't know if this comparison actually makes sense, but it is bad. Half a star.
So in the Horror Hangout Board of Advisors as well, like I posted that this was going to be the episode this week, and kind of expecting a bit of a mixed bag of results, but all the comments we got were all negative, and that was a bit surprising. Someone just said it's just awful. Someone said it's just mediocre. And then Ben Scaife, who we've already mentioned on this for his lovely review, but now he's going to do a review of Van Helsing. He said, this film is on my list of one of the worst I've ever seen. It has the same vibes as The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which was also utter dog tosh.
Yeah, but that's also in my top 15, so you can see where this is going to go.
Yeah.
I gotta say,
Yeah.
I'm
Eat dog
kind of with
tosh.
Ben on that one. That as I was watching
I didn't mean to
this,
slow clap.
yeah,
Oh my god, the aggressive slow clap came out.
yeah, as I was watching, I did come away from it going, maybe I'll watch LXG after this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I've seen this before. I've seen clips. I've seen the vampire ladies flying around. I've seen pictures of Kate Beckinsale. But I don't know if I've seen this movie before.
Dirty boy. This film's rated 12 in the UK, and
Yeah.
it's
Out of
pretty scary.
what?
12.
It's pretty scary. Like even now, I'm a bit like, Is this like if I was a kid watching these vampires fly around and stuff, I'd be terrified. I suppose I ain't got any swearing in it, has it?
So what was the rating of The Mummy? I was thinking about this. I mean, obviously, it's the same filmmaker, probably came out a few years after. I think The Mummy is scary. Like, it is quite a scary film. But it's also.
I think this is definitely more bloodless than The Mummy. I think you're right. I think The Mummy has. I don't think he backs out when the scares up. Yeah, he gets his eyes slapped out of his head by Imhotep.
Yeah, and he gets like one of them has like a scarab under his skin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. People get like the juice sucked out of them as well, don't they?
Mm.
Yeah.
And just like Imhotep as well, when he's like yelling and he gets his like mummy mouth.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love that film.
We can't mention The Mummy and you not mention what he's likely to be shouting.
Oh, I'm not on the moon. Yeah. It's a bit weird because you watch this film, and then part of you thinks, I just wish it was more like The Mummy. Like The Mummy is, I think, is like a excellent film. I can still watch it today.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I don't know if it quite lands as well. I don't know. It's maybe a bit campier and it's less horror based. I'm not too sure.
I was thinking about this as I watched the film, and maybe even those fine folks in the Hollywood boardroom thought of this. But can you imagine if instead of The Mummy 3 we got, it was him meeting up with Van Helsing and fighting the other? If that would have been the monster universe we deserved.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we did feel like they were trying to make a universal monsterverse with this movie, but all in one. I wasn't expecting for Frankenstein to be in it, and
it was meant to be the beginning of 3. So I think they were going to branch out further, but then obviously everybody was incorrect in their assessment of it.
Could have met Rick O'Connell and Imhotep. That would have been banging.
Incredible.
But Igor is Benny from The Mummy, and his voice is like so specific.
Yeah.
Easy man. When Matthew Lillard isn't available to be the sidekick in an evil horror-y type film, is your go-to Benny.
Yeah, I wonder who that guy actually is. I don't think he's been in a huge amount.
Kevin J. O'Connor. He's been in The Mummy. He's been in There Will Be Blood.
Oh yeah.
Deep Rising, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Stephen Sommers.
Tucci. Oh yeah, Stephen Sommers must be like best mates with Stephen.
Maybe he's his sidekick and he's like, let us in your film for like just a bit.
Yeah.
Let us in your film.
Just a solid.
Why would you? Why would you say you like this film so much then, Heather? Why would you say are you saying it's one of your favourites?
Yeah, it's in my top 10. And I'm happy to sort of like defend this. And I end up having to every time I ever mention it's in my top 10. I think it was just like when it came out, I was 14. And it was just like, I think I'd probably seen that. When was The Mummy before it? It was, wasn't it? Was The Mummy
99?
Yeah,
99. Yeah.
So I assume I'd seen The Mummy before it, but I'm not 100%. But I remember going to the cinema to watch this, and I think it was probably like the biggest horror that I'd ever seen at that sort of age, and I think it was like right in the middle of when I was like moving on from like reading whatever from school to like actually reading like horror, like vampire books and stuff. So it was just like part and parcel of like all my interests in one go. And there was like Hugh Jackman with his like amazing hair, and then there was like Kate Beckinsale with the outfits, and then like there was the hot guy that was a werewolf, and I was like, this is the best film I have ever seen in my life. And for me, it's just a comfort film like that, and the League as well. Like, I'm Queen of the Damned. I'll happily like tell you guys all my terrible film choices. It's also one of my faves.
What else is in there?
Queen of the Damned. Queen
of the Damned.
I've seen the Queen of the Damned in a long time.
Queen of the Damned, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and then they go uphill. So like my number one is Silence of the Lambs. But then the other three are defo rate quite highly. Yeah, I think it's like a big mixture of just everything like right at that point. Like
it's kind of like your gateway movie to a lot of the dark stuff, I guess.
100%, yeah.
Well, so my fiance Kat, she seemed to really like this one, or has memories of really liking it. So I think for her, she said she used to watch it all the time on Sky or something.
She's got good taste.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. Maybe I'm not the right target audience for it. I don't know, but I don't know who got it. So Hugh Jackman, obviously, as Gabriel Van Helsing. That's not Van Helsing's name, is it? Isn't it Abraham Van Helsing in the original books? Kate Beckinsale as Anna Valerious. The Dracula guy, Richard Roxburgh.
He's in Moulin Rouge, isn't he? That's the I recognise
he's
him.
the Count in Moulin Rouge, and he's also in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah,
you're
right.
Yeah.
There we go.
I feel like he had the most fun in this film. I think he had like a brilliant time. He looked like he was having like a real bonza time. He was just shouting.
Dancing.
He was dancing about.
I think Stephen Sommers didn't even ask him to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I quite liked is that I recognised him from Moulin Rouge, and then the guy who plays Carl, that friar dude, David Wenham. I recognise him from
Lord of the Rings.
Who is it? Lord of the
Rings.
Also Faramir, that's it. Also 300, where he's like, it's weird because he like in this he plays like sort of a Weasley. I say Weasley, but he's very brave.
Yeah.
And then Richard Roxburgh in Moulin Rouge plays a kind of Weasley guy, and then in this film he plays this big, bombastic, over the top, crazy Count Dracula.
It's how you've got to be. If you're going to be a Dracula, then I guess that'd give you that confidence boost.
Yeah, he's definitely like caricature Dracula over like serious role Dracula.
I feel like he would fit quite nicely into What We Do in the Shadows. That kind of over the top vibe.
Bring him back for that. He's definitely like, having seen this film, I'm sure we'll cover it, but like memorable, like unique takes on Dracula. I think if you're not doing Bela Lugosi impression, he's going to be like a unique one. I'd say he's more memorable than the guy from Prison Break in Blade 3.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's the only person I'd perhaps have him lose to in the dramatic flair of Dracula has to be my boy Leslie Nielsen.
Amazing. Yes, obviously we mentioned Kevin J. O'Connor as Igor. Just got a big bloated head, really, isn't he? There's a Frankenstein's monster dude. I don't recognise the actor though. His name's Schuler Paul Hensley. But I thought he was pretty good. And then Will Kemp plays Kate Beckinsale's brother, whose name is Valkan Valerious. What a great name. Yeah. And then obviously Dracula's trio of brides, Alira,
Alan.
Oh no. Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Snap, crackle, and pop.
Robbie Coltrane
did make a mistake not having ones that have matching names like that, so it's easy to set them up.
Is it Robbie Coltrane's in it?
Yeah, he plays. Well, he's the voice of Mr. Hyde.
Oh, I was going to say, what were you smoking when you watched this film?
You watched the right film, right?
He's the voice of Mr. Hyde. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say he does have that kind of like almost like a Shakespearean actor style, like both with Frankenstein's monster and Mr. Hyde, because they're like when he's up on the windmill, he's just like no, and I can almost imagine like Ian McKellen doing it like on stage.
Yeah.
And then when he's like, when Hyde at the beginning's like, the bells. It's a classic, man. So many beautiful lines.
Yeah, that Mr. Hyde is a fun, like his very cockney Mr. Hyde with his bloody Mr. fucking Hyde in it. And he's a lot of fun. And then I guess
great.
He gets mistaken.
It's a really great opening.
I like that kind of element that he's like the henchback of Notre Dame. I like that it's like they're just taking loads of different mythologies and stories and kind of just weaving them together. It's quite fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a really fun movie, and it's like it's a great opening scene as well. I think it's got a great soundtrack as well. I always found myself just like
it does.
jamming along to it.
Yeah, I was watching it like this afternoon when I was doing like a little bit of work, and I was just sitting there like, yes, this is such a jam. Like I'm on horseback. This is so
Van
great.
Helsing on horseback. Well, I think a good point was saying this was like a comfort film because I've seen it loads of times, and it does feel like a comfort film in the same realms as The Mummy to me. Obviously, both directed by Stephen Sommers, but yeah, comfort movie and something that it's one of those movies. If you see it on TV, you kind of got to stop and watch it for a bit, if not the rest of it. Because it's got everything going on.
At least capture a bit. And you're saying about the opening scene, Ben. I know the Mr. Hyde Van Helsing is kind of the second scene where we introduce ourselves to Van Helsing and all of his like Batman gadgets that he has.
Of course.
But we open in what I thought was a very cool choice, and actually, release the special cut of this film. I would have maybe even kept it black and white for the whole thing because I really liked the black and white open.
It looked cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the bit where he's getting really dramatic on the windmill.
Yeah.
Love that. I like it when he's like when Dracula goes on the sword and he's just like campily like, I'm already dead. I'm like, yes you are.
And he's like, oh
yeah.
Yes you
I made a
are.
note. I bet it still stings though, Dracula, and your clothes are still ruined. Come on.
It's true.
But he commits to a bit, and you have to give that to him, and he does some cool, like Speedy Gonzalez like moves around, like he says something to Frankenstein, and then disappears from behind him to be at the other side when he goes. It'd be exhausting to have a conversation with him.
It would. Yeah.
Like Batman, it's like the opposite of Batman, isn't it? Like when you just go, oh yeah, turn around, he's gone.
Years later, Batman would take inspiration from Dracula. He goes, oh, well, my ancestor Dracula, he was a bit of batty and he disappeared, but Batman, have finished the conversation, so I can just be gone. Whereas Dracula is like, oh, I've disappeared, but still got things I need to say. I'm having quite a complex scientific discussion with Frankenstein. I'm going to have to come back. And he's like,
I couldn't do that. It stressed me out too much to just leave. I feel like I'd miss something important. When people in films and on TV just put the phone down without saying goodbye, how can you do that?
It'd be really embarrassing as well if you had to go back and go, oh, I'm really sorry, I've actually forgot to tell you that like you need to do this, but like I am going to go now. Okay. And then I have to like walk off again.
It's like the medieval Gothic version. If you hit send too soon on an IM or like an email, you have to come back and say, sorry, sent that too soon.
Yeah. Good times. Yeah, so when it started in black and white, I was a bit confused for a second because I was like, is this film in black and white? Couldn't even remember that, but it's only the opening scene, isn't it?
Yeah. So I would have gone with it. And this is like really leans into, I guess, those classic original Universal Monsters movies this is taken from, and we're just given a scene that really sets up a lot of things quickly, that Dracula's working with Frankenstein, but he isn't going to help him from this mob of villagers who've turned up to burn his house down because he's been robbing graves. Frankenstein has brought a Frankenstein to life, and the villagers don't want a bloody bead of it. They want it off their area. It's going to affect house prices.
Yeah.
So they're going to burn him out.
I just think it's amazing how massive Frankenstein comes out. Because I'm like, how do you like stitch two leg bones together to make them twice as long?
If you take it apart and put it back together, like if you've unrolled a duvet, that package that it comes in, try and put it, you can't. Yes, if you've got all those, if you've got 7 people all apart and you try and put them together, just this, your stitching's not going to be as tight as the original, so there's going to be a bit of bloat.
I quite like the Frankenstein's monster design now. I like all the steampunk hydraulic stuff and the brain, the exposed electrical.
His head like flaps open,
brain.
Isn't it? Sometimes.
Yeah.
It's not.
Oh yeah, it does.
Stitched together in the back or something.
Not been super glued.
It's not clipped in properly.
No.
Yeah.
They should have got a teams of seamstresses instead of Frankenstein. They could have sewed him up right nice.
Yeah.
And he treats.
I guess this is what you get with Igor, right? Because Igor does say because he stitches Frankenstein up, he's like, "Oh, Dr. Frankenstein, you've been dead nice to me, but Dracula pays me, so fucking you over.
Such
Maybe
a
that's
Benny
it.
character.
He's got he's
God
got a
damn it,
great
Benny.
saying though. What is the saying? It's like do unto others
Before
before they do
unto
unto you. Yeah, that was a nice little
And
turn.
he's got his little jabby electric cattle prod thing, which he absolutely loves. Don't go anywhere without that.
If he was an action figure, that is what he would come with.
Yeah. It'd have a little blue light on it that lit up whenever you press
it. It'd have that cattle prod and maybe that syringe of cure that isn't essential for the Igor figure, but if you're going to collect the whole set, help you tell some good stories.
Don't come in. I'm playing with Igor. All right.
Oh, you named it now. Is that your nickname?
I'm torturing. So good in here.
So then a year later, oh wait, they burn. What happens? So they burn.
Yeah, Frankenstein gets up.
Yeah.
Dracula's killed Frankenstein the man. Frankenstein the monster grabs his dad, takes him to a windmill which doesn't mill corn. It appears to exclusively mill really high proof alcohol, paint thinner, petrol. It just mills flammable liquids. It's absolutely stacked with them.
There's a really annoying bit here where as they leave the castle, Igor sort of looks up at the angry mob and kind of like laughs as if to say, but then he like shouts after him, doesn't he, and alerts the angry mob. Did he mean to do that? He did mean to do that.
I think so.
I suppose that does make sense now. Thought about it, but in the context the context of that, I was like, Igor, what are you doing, you dick?
Yeah, such a Benny.
Bloody hell, Igor.
It's also like it doesn't feel like it's just a year, when we go back, because it feels like because it's in black and white. I was always like, it's been like 20 years, and I'm like, oh no, it's not. It's been like 10 minutes.
Yeah. 10 minutes.
Because it happened in December. It's January now, technically last year. But 3.5 weeks ago, this castle was burned down.
Yeah.
Could Count Dracula not have sorted out his plan in this year? Like, plenty of time to get it to happen.
I suppose he didn't know where he was, but then Igor did watch, I assume, as they burnt the windmill down.
I guess the windmill kind of collapses. Maybe they just thought,
maybe they thought he was dead.
Yeah, burned him up.
Bloody dead.
So they're just getting on with their business and starting with their plans. Meanwhile, we go and meet Gabriel Van Helsing, and we see him fight Mr. Hyde, as we talked about in Notre Dame. So he can also be mistaken for the Hunchback of Notre Dame. And most importantly, here we just see some of his cool gadgets that he has. We see the accessories that would come with his action figure. He has grappling hook. He has these little spinny blades that you can have someone's arm off.
Beyblades.
He has Beyblades, lets it rip.
Yeah. Death Beyblades. His hat.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
It's a good hat. Although Mr. Hyde takes the hat off, which is very rude. Takes the hat off his head, doesn't he? And I was like, I'd be fuming if I was Gabriel Van Helsing.
It's that period of time, wasn't it? When you would go out somewhere and you get a new hat and you think, oh, I'm going to wear this out, but you can't go out to the pub or anything and you capture it because someone's going to try and take it off you and they want to wear it. The same as if there's ever a fancy dress thing that in the days when you used to go to a nightclub, you can't go in a decent fancy dress because someone's going, let us wear that for a bit. And it's like, I
can't even dispute that. I have like hundreds of hats that I stole from uni nights. And I never bought any of them.
Yeah, that's it. You see people in like funny, like, it's like a birthday or it's like some kind of celebration. So we have some funny outfits. People will be taking your hats and oversized glasses off them. You'd sit there sometimes think, I wish there was a disease that meant everyone had to stay really far away from me and I couldn't go to places like this. If only we knew. But yeah. Mr. Hyde does that, and I guess that's what causes him to lose his rag with him, chop his arm off.
Yeah.
Because originally he says, I'd rather you come in alive, but I am going to kill you quite with minimal provocation. And how does he get him in the end? It's quite...
So he, Mr. Hyde puts the bell on him, and then he cuts a hole out the floor, Looney Tunes style.
Yeah.
And then he picks up the bell. He thinks he's gone down the hole, but now he's in the bell still.
That was
like
genius.
A spider.
It was like,
me. Yeah.
That had me. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
he's cut a hole in the thing and he's gone through the floor. That's good. He's still in the belt. Whoa! Can't believe this.
You'd have had your
Can't
arm off,
believe
Ben.
Yeah.
Full on
exactly.
Tom and Jerry, isn't he? Like picks him up, ready to smash him with a newspaper,
Yeah.
and he's there underneath. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they end up on the roof, and he's like, "Have a look at this view," and then he like lashes him off, and he shoots him with his grappling gun through the arm, shoulder, something like that. Like,
like straight through the middle of him, I think. Isn't it?
Or is it through the
Did I
middle?
imagine that?
And then he like tries to pull him down, and then he runs down the other side. Van Helsing goes through the window, the big million-year-old window, and then I think he pushes him off the roof, or
somehow he ends up off the roof.
He takes a tumble, and his special serum runs out just at the time, so he can transform back into Dr. Jekyll and like stand in the air momentarily, like Wile E. Coyote style. Like, holds up a little sign that says bollocks, and then he smashes into the floor, and he's gone. And some people, bearing in mind we're in Notre Dame, some people look up and shout at him in English, "Oh, Van Helsing, you bloody hoodlum,
you pillock."
Yeah. Although they all shout that he's a murderer, yet when he goes to church to says, "Oh, Sal's father, I've sinned," they seem more genuinely annoyed about the window. It's like,
I find they're cool priests. Like, they're not like regular guys.
They're murder priests. They can't.
Where did a cool priest go on your list, Andy? In your list of cool priests?
I mean,
very low.
You're still involved in organized religion, which is so bottom half. I'm afraid you'd have to be very cool.
Yeah.
Bottom half.
I
only watched John Carpenter's Vampires last week.
Is that about John Carpenter's Vampires?
Oh yeah, sorry. You guys dropped out for a second. I only watched John Carpenter's Vampires last week, and it was the bloody Vatican behind that as well. Yeah. The vampire killing. Vatican got their fingers in all the pies. Didn't know what I was going to say then, did you? Pies.
Well, I thought you were going to say pies. I don't know what else you would have said.
But they care more about their stained glass windows than vampire lives.
They do.
Yeah.
Vampire lives matter.
So then we're introduced to like the Alfred of the Batman Alfred duo. Faramir, what is his name again? Cardinal Jeanette. It's not Jeanette, is it?
Carl.
Isn't that the actual the cardinal guy who gives him his missions?
That makes sense. Yeah.
So at this point as well, Van Helsing knows nothing about vampires either, does he? He's never gone head to head with a vampire. They say something about holy water and sunlight, and he's like, "Well, why would I need that?" And you're like,
"Dory,
it just set on fire."
So yeah, you're right. So Cardinal M gives him his mission, and then he goes to Q Branch, and much like a James Bond film of like the 80s and like 70s and 80s era, he's going to show him all the gadgets that will come in. Wouldn't you just love a James Bond film or this film where he introduces a gadget and then there's just no opportunity, there's no scenario that happens to call for it at that time, and at the end, in the ending scene, they go,
Chekhov's gadget.
"Oh, I didn't use this exploding chewing gum. That's Mission Impossible, but never mind. He's I didn't use that. Right, the occasion just didn't call for it. Save it for next time."
It's a nice bit of like Carl cooking some garlic bread with all the garlic he gave him.
Yeah.
But what Carl has been cooking, hot and fresh out the kitchen for him, is he has a he's got like a machine crossbow ready for him, ready to roll. He's got all sorts of your silver, like a spring-loaded silver stake that looks like a little dealy bopper, like a biro, and you click it and it comes out and it does a stab. And most importantly, he has a grenade, which this is the bit that troubles me. He can explain what it's for, but he can explain what it does, but not what it's for.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it creates the light of the sun, but I don't know what that's for. Anyway, moving on. I'm like,
yeah.
So annoying. I wonder if that'll come back into the film. What do you reckon, guys? Yeah.
He just goes around his workshop like a supermarket sweep and just sweeps it all into his bag.
Yeah.
All of this stuff.
And then he gets like basically pressured into going with Van Helsing.
Yeah.
If I was
Yeah.
Carl, I'd just be like, no, sorry, I got
The
things
guy
on.
gets kidnapped.
Yeah, he does kind of get.
Yeah. He's got great. I like his hair. Like it's got a bit that's permanently kind of up
Yeah.
on the side. Like he's got a permanent bed head.
Got like a little bit of a bowl cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It fits him though.
Hat
There's a
also
funny moment where
establishes-
he's got his like giant bottle binocular face mask thing, and he's like, "What?" He's got his face right into the camera, and his eyes look massive. That was really good.
I like
Great moment of the
Carl.
film.
But there's a little bit where he's a little bit propo later on, but apart from that, he does establish that it's okay because he's not a monk. He is
Yeah.
a friar.
He's a friar,
So
yeah.
that means only some of the rules don't apply to him. You can still
Strange.
say piss or bugger or shitbird.
Well,
You can
and
still
shit.
curse.
Well,
Shit
later on,
nuggets.
doesn't
Yeah.
he? Propositions a lady later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, what we
exchange
established
for
there was
saving her
that Carl
life.
fucks.
God.
What does he say? Does he whisper? What do you reckon
Oh,
he
she
says?
goes, "Oh,
And
what
she
do you
goes, "Oh,
mind-"
can you do that? Can you?"
She looks
Handstand
furious
competition.
first,
What a weird thing to
looks
say to
furious
someone
at
you've just
first.
met.
Chess
and
match.
then
Yeah.
then he points out that I'm a friar. I can still get down, and she seems into it. So I guess that's the main thing.
Yeah.
But still, a very bold proposition for someone who's at least almost a monk.
He didn't get a
Almost
chance to
a
do it either because they were in and out of Transylvania like that, weren't they?
Oh, I thought she was
See you later.
kipping on the sofa the next
Yeah.
He
morning.
was. Yeah, and he tripped on her. He definitely.
It's alluded
Oh,
to.
I didn't notice that bit.
Yeah, when he wakes up, he like sees the picture move. He falls over the couch with her on it.
You're right.
And she's like sleeping on there still. So
Yeah.
yeah. Ben will be straight
Yeah.
onto it tonight. Release the Sommers cut. Full
Yeah.
black and white, including Carl's
the Carl
reward for
sex
extra scene.
That rating's
Carl's
going up from a
reward.
12.
Yeah.
So they arrive in Transylvania, having
so
done cool
what's
Indiana
the-
Jones map travel.
Yeah, that's got a really
what's the
good bit
task?
of soundtrack.
The task that they're given, so they got to go to Transylvania to destroy Dracula and protect the last members of this ancient Romanian family.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
the dad.
They can't go into
Prof-
heaven until he's defeated the Dracula because he made like a promise to someone,
God.
to God himself.
And he takes those things very seriously.
Yeah.
Why would he do that? Like, I promised that I'm going to do this really how they like. If God had said to him, "Deal with this Dracula thing, or I'm not letting you into heaven," fair enough. But he didn't.
Yeah.
He just offered that up there and said, "Oh, me and my family, even the ones that aren't born yet, they will never rest until Dracula's dead." God
Selfish.
says, "Hold you to that. Sure, you don't want to take it back."
And they're just all waiting in purgatory for it to happen, which is basically the equivalent of being in an alleyway outside a club. Can we come in? No, sorry, you're not on the list. Oh, I have to wait for the rest of my family to get here. Well,
Have you seen Stardust? I always thought
Yeah.
like the ghosts and that after when the brothers die and they all just sit there in a line waiting.
Waiting. Yeah. That's a
boring.
good movie. I need to watch that.
That's what that family are doing.
Just waiting.
And there's only two
Yeah.
of them left. So lots of them over generations have all absolutely fucked it when it comes to killing Dracula. And now there's just a brother and sister left, Kate Beckinsale and a handsome brother.
Called Velkin.
Yeah.
Well, so Anna and Velkin Van Helsing. Van Helsing's name is kind of a mixture of both of theirs. Anne Velking. And then Carl.
Do we see them execute their plan against the werewolf while Van Helsing is in transit, while he's on the way to things?
He's
So
on
yeah,
his boat.
we have this
Yeah.
scene now, right?
And that werewolf is their uncle.
Is he the uncle?
At the beginning, it's the two kids and their uncle is the only one alive, and that he's missing.
Yes.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Set
I
up a
can
trap.
fill in those blanks for you.
Fill in those big old gaping blanks.
Yeah.
'Cause there are lots of them.
So that's
obviously
when
there's
we first see her because she does a backflip.
yeah,
She does a lot of flips in this.
She
There's
is.
a lot of flips.
I'd say that's some of her
Flipping.
top 3 abilities. She's dead good at flips.
Well, you say good, but she just flipped into a tree at one point.
That was
Face
awkward.
first.
That looked painful.
Yeah.
She gets lashed like down a tree, against a bridge, against a wall. Like, bad
I
time.
reckon that's what catches up with her as the movie progresses. We'll come to this when we get to conclusions.
All while in some sort of corset as well.
Yeah.
That's
It helps you to flip some sort of balance thing.
Yeah.
Don't know how it works.
It's weighted. It's got like a pouch of water that shifts as she flips.
And her really, really, really curly hair is just full of springs to help her.
Yeah.
This is a thing that
I
got
kept
me
thinking
about
that.
this
Where'd you
plan.
get her hair done?
Yeah.
Anytime she's not fighting vampires.
Where's she getting a curling iron
just
in
getting
this
a perm.
century? Yeah.
In her downtime, of course.
But this is the plan, which, in many ways, it's a very well constructed plan to safely get a werewolf. But it appears that you've neglected to tell several of the people a number of key plans. So what happens is, a man is tied to a stake to be sacrificed to the werewolf. Werewolf comes running at him. The guy's not really trapped. He runs up into the tree, swings up high on a rope that's being like lifted away, and then there is a cage to trap the werewolf in. Brilliant, and it works. There's a little bit of a rope that gets jammed, which has our flipping good hero come out with her sword ready to save the day, and then all of the village dudes, they come out and they are just wazzing bullets at this werewolf, and they're all shouting, "No! Only my gun, which is the gun I've dropped, has silver bullets to kill him."
Wazzing bullets. That's a Megadeth song.
Yeah. So tell you guys not to shoot all the bullets at this werewolf, or I've seen what your country estate looks like. No shortage of silver there. You guys have got silver for days. Give everyone silver bullets.
Yeah.
But no, they don't do that. There's just one gun with
Just
silver
get a
bullets.
big silver poker and jab it at him.
Yeah.
Why rely on a bullet?
Make the cage.
Yeah.
Make the cage out of spiky silver.
Yeah.
Silver spikes.
Spot on. Yeah.
We'd have been all right. We'd have been in
We
heaven.
wouldn't have this problem.
We'd have been safely in heaven if we'd been running Transylvania. But yeah, it goes a bit awry. He does escape, and at the last moment, a heroine's brother comes in and he knocks her out of the way. He does get a shot off with his silver bullet gun at the werewolf, but they both go tumbling off like the biggest. I've never been to Transylvania. Is the elevation climb just massive everywhere? Because everywhere that's not on level seems to be like a massive precipice to oblivion. Because he goes off, and it's a long way down. They fall forever. And again, it's like a Wile E. Coyote where they fall into like a little speck and then just like.
Yeah, and they do that a few times in this film. There's definitely like a zip line at one point.
But they're both gone, right?
Yeah.
So then Van Helsing arrives the next day, maybe. He arrives by boat to that same music, the travel music, like the fast travel music, loading screen music. He gets there, and then instantly, they're kind of the villagers are There's one village who's got like really long blonde hair.
The Undertaker.
The Undertaker.
The Undertaker. Yeah, the Undertaker.
His character is Top Hat, apparently.
Oh. He's Top Hat. And all the villagers are like looking at them a bit suspicious. They're like, they don't like strangers. And then I don't know. I think maybe they're gonna scrap or something. And then the
everyone's
vampires
being a bit rude to them. Everyone goes, "Oh, give us your weapons." And I won't. I shan't. Give me your weapons. They're
Kate
mine.
Beckinsale turns up, doesn't she? And she says, "Turn your weapons over." And he says something like, "The rules of men mean little to me."
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
She's like the mayor of the town.
That's got a badass over here.
You know what he could have done? He said, "All right, my name is Van Helsing, and I'm here to smack down Dracula in a serious way." But he doesn't.
No.
Yeah.
He's
evasive and manly, and it doesn't get anywhere.
Too evasive communication, guys. But while they're working on the communication, vampires just turn up and everyone and it is daytime, but it's okay because it's cloudy.
Yeah.
Cloudy. They do all right, England.
Yeah.
Overcast skies.
These kind of rules are a bit annoying. Like vampires can just come out if it's cloudy. If a cloud goes in front of a full moon, you're not a werewolf anymore. You have to go through the horrible transformation again.
Yeah.
Inconvenient.
I've made on my notes on this. I've noted that despite all of the ancient curses and powers, clouds are the most powerful entities in this entire film.
Yeah.
Everyone lives or dies by how much cloud cover there is.
Also,
Look at the
I
weather
wasn't too sure because you said to werewolf on full moon, but it seemed like the full moon was like every other day. Like I'm sure there was like
Transylvania. It's Transylvania, Luke.
I think it's like
10 a penny.
They have like 3 days of it, and then after that, they are fully werewolf all the time.
Okay.
You're right. It does come later on where it's like, the next full moon, which is 15 minutes from now. But
that makes sense because I suppose the Uncle Werewolf dude, they were trying to capture him in the daytime, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that does make sense. Yeah.
Maybe he's just a werewolf for good, but right now the vampires also come out, even if it's daytime. If it's as long as it's cloudy. So the 3 brides of Dracula turn up, and everyone's argument is quickly forgotten as he whips out his machine gun crossbow and just peppers the sky with arrows, hitting no vampires, but also thankfully not any of the citizens that would.
I don't understand how he doesn't hit Kate Beckinsale. He's shooting around her, and then she jumps up and somehow doesn't get hit by him. And he doesn't even hit the vampire, I don't think, at that point.
It's like a proper spray and pray, isn't it? Because he really is like firing arrows to the wind. No one really gets it, and everything's peppered with arrows. We do see a couple of bits of evidence that he does occasionally clip a vampire, but they're not serious injuries to them because
ankle, wing, nothing major.
They come sharp. This thing makes them drop people that they're robbing off with.
Yeah, because they drop a cow for a building at one point.
Oh yeah,
I was outraged at that. I was like, thankfully, Ben, I made a note. It's fine. After the action is fine. It comes back out, so the cow survives. Mm-hmm. At first, I was like, it's too much.
The cow survive.
Yeah.
Cow's alright.
It just walks out like, bloody hell, that was
yeah.
I do like the design choices with the vampires.
I do.
Like the design choices with the vampires where like obviously their robes and dresses kind of become their wings. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like the design.
At times the CG looks a bit strange though, I've got to say.
Oh yeah, definitely.
One of their faces, I'm sure it moves off the head a little bit at one point.
Oh, when she's dying a bit later on and she's not quite synced up. But but you're right, they come and they transform. This is a whole like rapid action sequence. Everyone's all over the place. One of the vampires takes Kate Beckinsale aside into a house and is chatting to her and says, I know what you really want. Like this is this is something that you've been clung for. And Kate Beckinsale says, all right, Robin Thicke, get out of it. Like she doesn't want any of it.
They basically want to have Kate Beckinsale as an extra wife.
An extra wife. He's already got 3. Greedy.
The laws of men also mean little to Dracula. And he's got enough love to go around or not, as he will establish a little bit later on. But yeah, she's chatting to Kate Beckinsale. Meanwhile, the other 2 are outside still fighting Van Helsing. One of them says, "Oh, stop messing around and finish him off." She doesn't really listen. She continues to mess around, which gives Van Helsing enough time to. He misses his holy water because Carl throws him somebody. He gets wazzed into the well. But then he sees there's a tap, like a garden tap outside the church, and because it's attached to the church, it's holy. So he dips his arrows into the holy water and sticks it right to.
See, like a nice slow-mo bit as he spins around and just like shit out of it.
He bullet times this Bride of Dracula.
Yeah.
Well, crossbow bolt times her. And she's got it. And this is when I noted, actually, I think the flying vampires, I think especially for the time, it holds up reasonably well. It was the dying sequence when they're transitioning from vampire to human to
skeleton-y thing.
Skeleton bones. Yeah, she was a little bit wobbly then. But
and also, when the other vampires, like their almost their jaws dislocate, look a bit snaky.
Yeah, and the masquerade looks a bit ropey.
Just a bit, yeah. But yeah, obviously that vampire dies, and the other brides scream and do their Tasmanian devil.
They challenge Annika right out of that building. They just whirlwind out. And
Dracula's obviously pissed off for losing one of his brides, but I was confused because he was sort of like, I feel no love, no pain, no sorrow, but he's screaming like in what seems like agony.
You said you were hollow.
I think he's protesting too much. He's he's been listening. He's been in his ice coffin listening to the Rasmus, and he gets up and it says he feels so empty. Guilty. He gets up, and the brides of Dracula are like, "Oh, soz." And he's like, "Oh, I told you to get Kate Beckinsale, so we were gonna, but then this chap turned up and she died." And then that's when he does your bit, Ben, when he's like, I don't feel love or sadness or anger, but you were just angry, Dracula.
You were just angry. I'm pretty sure you fear.
And then
you're angry dozens of times in this film. So what are you talking about?
Yeah, and then a moment later, they come up to him and like, "Oh, we'll try the experiment again." Oh, so no, they say, "Oh, I don't want to try the experiment again. It was too painful." And then he gets angry again, and it's like, get your story straight.
What's with the bit where they? What's with the bit where they all like freeze into the wall? Like,
it's weird, isn't it? Oh, I know now because they're going into the.
They're going into the other place, yeah.
That makes, but at the time, I was like, why are they just like melting into the painting?
Why did they moonwalk into the chest freezer? Just like bloody freezing.
Yeah, they do kind of stay there though, don't they? Instead of like going through.
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. Very weird.
But we established from this that he's a man with a plan. We don't know what the plan is yet, but he wants to try something again. So they are getting themselves off to Castle Frankenstein.
Castle Frankenstein. So at this point as well, back in the castle, Van Helsing and Anna are kind of decided to be friends, I guess.
She sort of says, "Oh, I promised to get you a drink, didn't I? Because he killed a vampire." The villagers are more pissed off at first because they're like, "Oh, vampires only kill one or two people when they're hungry. Now they're going to come to kill for revenge." And they're like, "Oh, you're a dickhead, mate." And he's like,
"Yeah."
And then Kate Beckinsale turns up and says he's Van Helsing. And then I can't work out at this point, do they like him more or less when they work out that he's Van Helsing?
Less, I think. Yeah. But also, like, if you're a remote, tiny little village in the middle of nowhere, how would you necessarily even know? Like, they're not getting newspapers from Rome.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Getting like Van Helsing's promotional materials that come through.
Like,
Flyer of Van Helsing.
The PR team are doing their hard work and getting that message across to everyone.
Yeah.
Live on tour 1642, Van Helsing.
And Carl.
Opening act, Carl. Wink.
Either that or he doesn't even get the full
Carl.
And special guests. She says, "Oh, I promised you a drink, didn't I, Van Helsing?" And then immediately goes back to negging him and says, "Oh yeah, bar's down there." And he's like, "Oh, all right, I'm just going to drink on my own then."
So,
and this is
where does she live in like her own castle?
Like a big old house where her dad, I think it's like their family pile, if you like. But she doesn't want to waste any time. She wants to head back out and stop Dracula before he does whatever he's going to do. And then this is where Van Helsing whips out a weapon, like his special knockout gas. And as soon as he deploys that, and I thought to myself, when you were going to catch Mr. Hyde alive and you failed to, that would have been really good. This special knockout gas that you've just got in your hand. But maybe Carl only just invented it on the journey. But he knocks her out.
Ever such a long journey.
I've got gas. I beg your pardon.
She gets knocked out, and then because he needs to protect her, because the important thing for Van Helsing is that the last member of the family, stays alive. So having knocked her out, leaving her defenseless, he leaves her unguarded in the house, and then we don't know where he is, because later when he reappears to save her from peril, where's he been this whole time? Has he gone to the bar for that drink on his own?
Maybe.
He's there.
Just having a little snoop around the house.
Yeah, Carl's off looking for clues. Kate Beckinsale wakes up and the house is empty, so we think, except it's not empty because bloody werewolf there, isn't there?
Bloody werewolf.
So she notices it because the window was open, and she's like, "Oh, it's bloody freezing in here." And then she notices the wet footprints, yeah, coming inside. So she doesn't realise, obviously, that it's her brother who's the werewolf straight away, does she? But luckily, because of the clouds going over the moon, he turns back into him.
Yeah.
I quite like the transformation. So he starts to just sort of slip up the wall.
Yes.
And then his skin starts to fall off. I was like
Bloody
when a werewolf's skin falls off.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen later on. I think he transforms, his skin doesn't fall off the next time. Potentially. But it looks cool though. And then Van Helsing turns up starts shooting at him with. Has he got silver bullets?
I think he does.
Yeah. He's got twin pistols, isn't he? Is it twin pistols he got at the moment, Lara Croft style?
Yeah, he's Lara Croft in it.
It's Lara Croft in it. Never needs to reload. Unlimited ammo on those as well.
When Valkyrie escapes, they go into. It's a weird moment. He starts chasing through the town, and then Top Hat has made a coffin for Van Helsing, and he's about to hit him with the spade or something.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah, he's gonna get him. He's bad for no reason. And Van Helsing goes, "Aren't you scared?" And he goes, "Oh no, I'm no threat to the werewolf." That's not the main problem, because after he goes to bash Van Helsing with a spade, that's what does for him. He gets eaten by a werewolf.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then his hat lands on the spade and twizzes round.
Yeah, it's good.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what you get.
Kate Beckinsale stops him from shooting her brother as she's realised it's her brother, and Van Helsing responds rationally and calmly by 60s James Bond style choking her. And she's like, "Oh," and she's like, "Don't choke us." And he's like, "Oh, don't stop me from shooting werewolves then." She's like, "Well, it's my brother." And he goes, "I know."
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, he knew it, but then he gives it's not your brother anymore, it's a werewolf. But they've decided that he does know the secret, because in that brief moment when he was human, does he allude to Dracula's he knows what Dracula's plan is, or is it that he knows there's a anti-werewolf serum?
I think he tries to tell her that he's got a weakness. And that's as far as he sort of gets before he starts doing his wall climb.
Oh, the weakness is werewolves, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He's got a weakness. What is it? I'll show you.
It's me.
There's no time to explain. I'm in the middle of transforming.
So where do we go next? So Van Helsing and Anna.
Frankenstein there, don't they?
This is where they see the eggs, the vampire eggs, right?
I think it goes to Dracula first, doesn't it? When he goes, and the werewolf goes back, you see him because he also goes out of a window into a cliff at some point. Yeah,
he does. I think that's when they fall out of the window of the house, because I don't think he has any more fights. Yeah, so that's when he's been knocked out of here, and he does go back to Dracula. They followed him because werewolves only shed on their first outing.
Yeah.
So he's been shedded. So they follow a trail of dog hair.
Yeah, and that takes him to Frankenstein's castle, where there's a rave going on in the windows.
Yeah. He came back and said, "Oh, we burned this place down only a year ago."
Yeah, but we're having a party now. It's fine.
And he's like, right, I will not have that. We're gonna go in. And you're right. They have all these egg sacs. We see Dracula see the werewolf come back. He transforms back into a man again. Is there another moon cloud, or is it just plot convenient transformation?
Convenient transformation, and then he's like strapped to a table.
Yeah, he's like, well, we reveal at this point this is what happened to the dad, right? Because he's been skeletonized because he used him for electric experiments. So he says, oh, because of the werewolf venom in your veins, maybe you'll be a little bit more useful to me. And he goes, okay. So off he goes. And they've got all their eagles there doing his science. He's recreated them. Got a great, perfect like eagle voice. And then
that was spot on, wasn't it?
What are their other boys they've got? What are their like?
I don't like they're either Jawas or they're all Princess Leia from Return of the Jedi before she takes the mask off. They've even got like the Mysterion Dalek voice thing going on.
Like,
I had no idea what they were.
They were like goblins from Labyrinth, I thought. A little bit like that as well. But with masks on.
They refer to them as like waggies or something like that later on. I'm like, what are these?
Yeah.
Horrid little gremlin blokes.
Yeah. They got nothing on. You can't. If you're one of those guys, you can't go and just get a job as an accountant or like working in a bank or anything. You've got to be one of Dracula's minions. You've got to be.
Little S&M Ewoks, little tiny little bitey men in Gimp
Tiny bitey men.
Tiny bitey men. Yeah.
And the tiny bitey men are doing all the science. They're pulling all the levers. It's Transylvania, so there's a thunderstorm on, and it starts to strike. Meanwhile,
what does Dracula even do, really? Like, he's not doing any of the science stuff. He's just walking around like barking orders,
pointing,
supervising.
Lau kind of dance for most of the evening.
Yeah, he does do a little one of those, doesn't he? Like, all right, mate.
Well, as we learn, this is their opportunity to try and have vampire babies, right? So maybe he's just doing like a dad in a maternity ward thing. He's pacing up and down.
Yeah.
Pacing,
He's going to the vending machine over and over and over again. Chipsticks or frazzles? Chipsticks or frazzles?
He looks at the, I've only got enough change for one more drink. I shouldn't have another hot coffee. I shouldn't have another hot chocolate. But am I going to be disappointed if I get the oxtail soup? He doesn't know.
Scalding hot as well.
Yeah, he's pacing up and down. Oh, the cups aren't thick enough. Even with his Dracula powers, that's going to burn his hands. He's pacing up and down, giving the orders. And as we learn, because vampires are dead, if they try and have babies, they are born dead. So they're going to use Frankenstein's machine with the werewolf plugged into it to complete the circuit. Personally, I'd have used wires. But he doesn't he uses that's until he's a wirewolf.
Oh, he said werewolf.
Yeah. So his werewolf is in the completing the circuit, and he's getting zapped.
Yeah.
Maybe there is some magic to it because werewolf seems to turn electric lightning energy into like a rusty power wave that goes through the little gremlin pods.
Rusty power wave. Good name.
Van Helsing is in the middle of thurking around in one of the pods. He's having a good old. He's wading in there. He's elbow deep in this thing, and they all start hatching and coming out. They're kind of little batty gargoyle beasties.
Yeah, it's got a bit of a Gremlins vibe to it, I think. Especially when they all start to attack the town, they're getting into all sorts of hijinks, nibbling stuff, I guess. I don't know if they actually kill anyone. Did he kill anyone?
They're lifting people off, and they're very bitey, aren't they? So maybe some people get done collateral damage style, but
earlier on, though, the vampire said, "We only take what we need, and we need everything."
The babies need.
Dracula's been very short-sighted here because this is like one brood of babies, and they do say when he's ranting, he goes, "Oh, we only eat what we need." Now, technically, if all your babies are going to eat, you're going to wipe out that village in a day. He's had no forward planning.
No, it's a tiny little town. There's, a few hundred people there, possibly. Bloody loads of babies. Yeah, they're going to deplete their food resource before they even get a chance. What an idiot.
Dracula's one of those who's just blindly wandered into it, thinking, "Oh, having kids is something you just have after you're married." And he hasn't put any critical thought into it. Is it really the best thing for you, Dracula? Well, you don't seem, bearing in mind by your own admission, you're hollow and have no feelings. Are you going to make that good of a dad? Have a think about it.
If he's hollow and he feels no love or anything like that, why does he even want kids? What's this? What's this urge? What's driving him to do this? Surely just be,
read a book or something. Like, I
get
guess
back to Castle Dracula.
You know why he's probably ended up having all these kids and everything, though. No telly, then, is there?
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah,
there's no telly for him to be watching. There's no line of duty he can be catching up on. Yeah, there's
Resident Evil. Yeah.
He's been around for hundreds of years, though. Like, just boring, isn't it?
Got some kids.
There's only so many times to get beat for every year.
Are they gonna grow up to be like him, like a normal faced vampire thing, or are these gonna grow up to be little more gargoyle looking things?
I feel like they'd be like gargoyle-y little vampire babies forever.
They'd be like when they're in their like flying forms forever, because they didn't start out as people.
No.
Yeah.
It's just annoying having hundreds of them around. Can you imagine, like, just living somewhere and having hundreds of them around? You can get a moment's peace. Everyone will be covered in shit. What is the point?
To be honest, it's going to take him months just to name them all.
They'll have to put little spikes on the roofs to stop him from public places.
Oh, like over where he parks his car.
Little
so don't land on that. And you'd run out of names. You'd run out of names before you'd need half of them.
It'd be like that scene in like 101 Dalmatians where they name everyone and give them a colour.
Yeah.
So around about this, and Anna's like climbing up to the spire to like get her brother out of the weird machine. Van Helsing goes and confronts Dracula, and he's on first name terms with him. He calls him Gabriel. He seems to have some sort of memory of facing off with him or at some point in the past.
That's one of my favorite scenes where he like just sort of struts down the stairs and calls him Gabriel.
Gabriel.
It's all right, it's like Gabriel. He's like, "Why did you say that name?" They do fight though. Because I know you did well. We're mates. We are. I could, and he does. This is where the guy playing Dracula really hams it up and loves it. When he does his whole like, "Oh, usually I hear I can tell a lot about someone based on their heartbeat, and normally it's like."
And he's talking about dancing again. Just loves it. You maybe just wanted to go on Strictly or something. Like maybe that's what.
Yeah, you could do a foxtrot for this. But for you, this is more of it's a very slow, methodical one. And that's when he finds out, "Oh, it's you, Van Helsing, mate." And then it's established early on in a throwaway line. "Oh, Van Helsing's like 1 billion years old and he's lost his memory." And he goes, "Oh, I could give you some memories if you like," but then he goes, "No, I'm going to fight you instead," and he disappears off up like the dumbwaiter. He like slices through things so we can go upwards. Meanwhile, Anna is getting her brother out. Yeah,
instead of just had a chat, he might have been like, "Oh, we do know each other."
We could just finish this up now.
I go to school with you.
Sorry for any past actions.
Yeah.
They could have sorted it out, but they've missed that opportunity. Their moms didn't have the same name after all, so they're not. They're continuing their enmity towards one another. Meanwhile, Anna is getting her brother out of the machine, but as soon as she unstraps him, you know what? The moon only comes out. and he transforms into a werewolf and tries to get her. Maybe, Helen, this is when he gets Team Rocketed off the edge of oblivion again.
Oh yeah, that might be right.
Yeah,
Because this
so
is
he
when they
gets-
zip line off as well.
That's it. This is when he blasts off. So he's taken out of the machine, which breaks the circuit with no more werewolf in place. All of the gremlins explode.
Yep. And this is the part where
Yeah.
Carl's already like battered one away to save his nice village lady, who he propositions in exchange for having saved her life.
Yeah. So and then
horny Carl.
it cuts to the next morning. Carl accidentally presses something on the wall in Kate Beckinsale's house, I think.
Yeah.
And then he sees like a animated GIF, like an old-fashioned animated GIF, and it's like a werewolf attacking a vampire. I think is the gist of it. And at the same time, Van Helsing and Kate Beckinsale are in a hole in the ground, and that's where they find Frankenstein's monster, just chilling out, reading the Bible, I think.
Yeah, it's the only book he's got, I guess, that is in the thing. So he's really taken to it. He knows all about it. This is a confusing scene because they have a lot of back and forth about who thinks he's a baddie and everything. He throws them like Frankenstein's special movie is he'll give you a throw in. So he tosses Van Helsing one way, he tosses Anna another, and it feels like they take it in turns to know that he's not evil. Like she at first realizes he's not bad. So he's like, "Oh, what do you want?" He goes, "Oh, I want to exist." And she seems to know. Van Helsing pops up out of the water, and she's like, "No, don't. He's not bad." And he fills him full of sleeping arrows, and he passes out. Fills him full of sleeping arrows, and he passes out. And then then Anna's gonna kill him. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna put a bullet between his eyes." He's no, he's not evil. I can't let you.
Mate, your mind's up, for God's sake, guys. Jesus. Frankenstein just wants to exist. Someone break it to him. Existing sucks. All right, mate?
Especially if you live in a hole under a windmill with one book.
Not a very good book either. It's not even like the third Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Well, it's got some twists, though. It's got some twists in it.
Good marketing, though, if literally its subtitle is The Good Book. Really, if you read into that marketing, it's very good. What's this book like? Well, it says here on the cover, it's pretty good.
Way too many authors over the years, though, eh? Rewrites, bits taken out. Embarrassing, really.
Release the so-and-so
Release the original cut.
Yeah, release the James cut. Release the...
Matthew.
Release the Matthew cut. Yeah, I don't know which cut Frankenstein is reading, but nevertheless, he's been captured. And
Werewolf has since spotted them in the hole, knows that Frankenstein exists now. So they have to try and so they're going to try and get him out of Transylvania.
Werewolf says and then runs off to tell.
I tell on you.
He literally just buggers off to tell.
Dracula? Count Dracula? You never guess what? Dracula, you never guess what?
I saw them playing out by the mill.
And of course, Dracula wouldn't be angry about that. Oh, then again, he wouldn't be able to congratulate him for it because he's hollow. So he'd be totally neutral about it if you like.
He's indifferent to everything. Will you show some damn emotion, Count Dracula? I'm just indifferent about that, I'm afraid.
Hollow, soz.
I wonder if that's why he shows so much emotion, because he has no gauge of what it is anymore. So he's just like yelling and dancing.
So he doesn't feel like that, but he's just emulating it. He's like Patrick Bateman. He's like, right, I want to fit in. Yeah. So he's like, you should be angry when your wife dies. So, bloody Van Helsing, down his eyes.
Killed my bloody wife, did you twat?
Yeah, but he's got a plan. Frankenstein is livid, says, "Oh, you've doomed us all, you pricks. Now he knows that I'm alive. He's going to get me because my special body is able to give his children extended life. It means that I can just make them stay alive. So your only hope is to kill us." And they go, "Oh no, if we can get Frankenstein to Rome, the Vatican can protect him."
Yeah.
I guess they have other weapons and powers, because even though we saw in that brief fight between Dracula and Van Helsing so far, a stake didn't work, and the cross stung a bit, but it melted away. Maybe the Vatican's got some more weapons.
Well, they had that Gatling gun, didn't they? So
yeah, you could
might be something.
Just let them take that, innit? God. So then they do their really complicated double carriage plan.
The double carriage switch.
Although
the double carriage switch.
This is the poor advertising as well. Anna literally says there is nothing faster than Transylvanian horses, which would be fine if you're just making a statement which speaks to your confidence in the quality of your horses, which says not even werewolves.
Yeah.
Demonstrably false. Moments later.
Jesus. Imagine that. Imagine going, we're taking 8 Transylvanian horses. Oh, well, all right then. Go on then, take them. Actually, we better take 16 because we're going to do this double carriage switcheroo. Oh, we can't give you 16 of our horses, for God's sake.
That's probably they only got 16 for the whole village. There's only like 32 people who live there.
It's totally unnecessary, isn't it? Overkill.
Taking all the carriages, all the horses. They'll literally be...
One of them's actually that cow from the beginning.
This is
like a hat.
Yeah. Horses don't look like horses in film. You have to stick a load of dogs together.
Stick a load of dogs together, yeah. And then, of course, like locally, as all the rest of the village is screwed, while they're on the way to trying to get to Rome, which I've checked on the maps, really far to go on horses.
Because they had to cross the ocean, so...
Yeah. They're gonna have to go over the mountains. They have to head west across Hungary, then down through Italy, all the way to bloody Rome. So it's gonna take them ages. And it's also a gamble with this switcheroo game, right? That what if they spot the right carriage first? Maybe they painted that on in muted colours.
That was actually it's got like a camo throw on the top of it.
It was riding, but like in tiptoe. Well, at the same speed somehow, but quietly.
They had slippers instead of horses. They had like trainers. Trainers on those horses.
Little soft socks on. Little slippers.
The horses, we have mentioned that they're not only are they faster than werewolves apparently, but they're also jumpier. They like jump right across the cliff.
Yeah.
Again, another cliff.
Yeah.
And they've got the horse armor DLC for them as well. If you notice, they've got some lovely spiky armor. So the vampires attack the carriage, the one that has a big neon sign on it that says "Carriage that has Frankenstein in it here." They're driving along. Van Helsing's driving. The bridge is out. I assume the vampires have taken the bridge out, but as Luke says, the horses leap the abyss, but they make it across, but the carriage doesn't. It falls down. The vampire, like Brides of Dracula, realise that we can't let Frankenstein get done in. We've got to get him. So they try and slow it down from falling, and then reach desperately into the door to get it. But it's an IED.
Yep.
Yeah.
Space Dog just follows. She opens it up and she's like, "Steaks."
It's proper like again Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah.
There's a Dracula in there, but he's made of like sticks of dynamite and bombs.
Yeah.
The chances of that plan actually working are slim to none, pretty much, aren't they? Like, if you're explaining that plan to me, I'd be like, can we just not just fight them? Take one carriage and fight them if we need to. Yeah,
it's
there we
the
go.
Way
Let's
that,
do it.
When he's then, because he then jumps onto the horses, so he's just riding like a couple of the horses, and then he just happens to look over through like 3 trees, and there's the other one.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to go through a bit and then round a corner and round a bend, and there they are hidden. No, it's just like one tree.
Yeah.
And they were also they had crossed the
How did they get across the
massive
bridge?
gorge,
Yeah.
like another bridge that was just fine round the corner.
Yeah, they went on the new one. It's a toll, but it's a bit quicker. So like they were just
I hate-
already there.
There's just a moment of that reveal where like the reveal is like really smug, isn't it? It's like, oh yeah, you didn't see this coming, did you guys? We had all of you lined up ready.
Did a
Idiots.
switcheroo.
And I was like,
Yeah.
the fuck? Just ridiculous.
If Dracula could feel feelings, he'd be feeling pretty stupid if he was watching this.
He'd be like,
Yeah.
what emotion do I do now?
Yeah.
A dance? No, don't dance. Dracula.
The dance of embarrassment, like.
Dance of sorrow.
But it's okay because bearing in mind the other carriage is just here. The werewolf catches up with this one, as does the other remaining vampire bride. They have a right old tussle. Carl unlocks Frankenstein so he can help fight.
Yep.
And he's not scared of the fire at first when it's on the roof and he gets out there, but then it comes through the roof and he is a bit spooked by it. But how do they actually escape? Oh, they smoke the werewolf, don't they?
Yeah. Is he killed at that point?
Yeah.
I think so.
I think he shoots him, I think, with some silver bullets.
And
As
then
he jumps off.
it's
Yeah.
trundle off with their flaming carriage off to Budapest.
Yeah.
No, doesn't she get kidnapped at this point?
She
Gets
gets
kidnapped.
Yeah.
She
by the
gets
last
taxed,
remaining
which is
vampire.
That's the one.
why she's gone. So
Yeah.
the werewolf has been
Dispatched.
got. But
But
at a price.
Yeah, so then they go to Budapest where they meet the last bride, who is just strutting about on a wall.
Yeah. She says, "I do you a trade, swap
Yeah.
you."
And then offers up the very obviously not a trap and totally safe All's Hallows Eve's mask ball. So they obviously agree. Because what a great time.
This scene. I completely forgot about this scene in this movie. Like when it was playing out, I was like, I don't remember this at all.
What,
Like,
the bit when they're like just chatting about going to a party?
well, the actual whole party bit.
I
don't
love
remember
the party bit. And that's one of my favourite scenes.
That is very Labyrinth as well, isn't it? It reminds me of the ball in Labyrinth too.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we get there pretty quickly, right? So they go.
Next scene, they
Frankenstein
dress
doesn't
up.
like the idea. He doesn't like the idea, so they just put more of those darts in him.
Forget me
By
nots.
this point, Van Helsing has been bitten by the werewolf.
Yeah, and this is where Carl points out, said, "Oh, right, you're transformed to a werewolf at the next full moon, so like 2 days time."
Yeah.
Maybe it was a long coach journey. To be fair, maybe they were on the road for almost a month before they caught up with him, and they just didn't mention it.
Maybe.
But doesn't matter. So they know it's coming. Van Helsing has a couple of days before he'll be the werewolf.
Yeah.
And then we know that through, because reasons, Dracula will be able to control him. Because if you're a werewolf, the one thing you have the utmost respect for is you've got to do what a Dracula tells you to do.
Yeah.
If Dracula says jump, you got to say how high. Got to do it. So they arrange this trade. He wants Anna back, and he agrees to swap her for Frankenstein. But it's okay because they're all planning to betray each other. And then we get to the party pretty quickly. They quickly get changed and head straight off.
I like Carl's little jester outfit.
Dressing. Yeah. Van Helsing's got like quite a smart little outfit as well.
Yeah,
Just
definitely.
Had it in the
brushes
bag.
his hair a bit and looks fancy.
The way they steal Anna quite easily, in a way. I mean, Easy in the sense that like he must have been practicing his trapeze artistry for like
Yeah.
several years.
I feel like at the Vatican there must be like
Yeah.
you know, like a montage training room where they can all train in the background, so that he knows how to do trapezing and backflips and stuff.
It's your standard Vatican curriculum, I guess. So, you know, 9 till 10 is spinning Beyblades. 10 through till lunchtime, you'll do hymns. And then all afternoon is trapeze, just circus work, tumbling.
Yeah. Jumping through windows.
Yeah. Not stained glass ones, though, for fuck's sake. Just plain windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he puts those trapeze skills to good use. We have a big ball where we're revealed as, I guess, kind of hypnotized, but you know, not enough to not just be indignant about it still. Anna is dancing with Dracula, and she can't resist dancing with him, but she is like giving him shit the whole time. And we see while she's dancing in the mirror that all and sundry there are all vampires, because it just looks like she's dancing on her own. But yeah, she gets stolen back, and it all kicks off. Dracula plays the card of pointing out that it's anybody Van Helsing that's here, and all the vampires are not pleased to see him.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, this is the perfect time. Yeah, they boo him.
They bring Frankenstein in on like a table or something.
Oh yeah, because they've captured him because they haven't hid him very well.
Yeah. So there's like a little kid that's like, Mister. And then he brings him in on his like wheelie table.
Yeah.
Oh, don't they find him because when they're leaving the graveyard, one of the stones moves and like a hand comes out.
Oh, I didn't notice
and
that.
I always assumed that like they're just his people who are coming for the party anyway, so they're going to be like, just when I was getting up, some lads were stashing some big part steampunk Robo Man in like Dave's crib. Like, do you want him?
Yeah, somebody robot in my house. I never noticed
pretty much all kicks off, doesn't it?
And then he gets to uses doesn't have a purpose but knows what it does bomb.
Yeah.
As
he leaves it, all the vampires run into the same room at the exact moment, at the exact same time as it explodes.
Yeah. And they set it off in like
a window again.
They set it off in like a bedroom. But then you see it come through every window in the house. So what I imagine is that there must be a perfectly aligned series of mirrors around the house that just reflect it everywhere.
But like Dracula is in like the only windowless, mirrorless box in the whole place.
He's gone. He's like someone like whispers to him after he set all the vampires up, like, "Oh, Dracula, the dump fridges are empty. Someone's gonna have to. Oh, the barrel needs changing at the bar. Like, no one is out. No one's there to do it. This guy's a temp. He doesn't. Fine, I'll go and change the barrel then." So he's down there.
He's danced away.
He's down there getting the barrel changed, and he comes back up, and everyone's bloody bones.
Yeah, and they go through another window.
Yeah, they go through a window. I noticed this as well, though. They push Carl through. He's definitely the first to smash through that window.
Loosen it.
He's got a lot of padding in his jester outfit.
Yeah. So they use Carl to smash the window. They all jump out. But by this time, Igor's already got Frankenstein on a ship.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's nothing your friends can do to save you. And I thought at that point, if I'm Frankenstein, I'm not sure I count these guys as friends just yet. They've they've drugged me at least 3 times.
Hid me in Dave's crypt. Not very well.
Yeah, didn't even hide. They'd have been better. Put in a disguise. Bearing in mind it's a masquerade ball. Just disguise him.
Yeah.
Then he could have at least fought them with robot punches.
Oh my god, no. It's Robot Joe.
Oh no, Robot Johan. So they go back to the castle, and this is where Carl basically explains that big door thing with the inscription.
Carl Risser explains it all right here. He shows
Carl explains it all. So he says that Dracula.
There's a bit where there's like the thing on the wall, and then they were like, no one's ever been able to read it, and then he goes, "Hang on, what's this in my pocket?" And he's got like the bottom corner of the thing.
Yeah,
He
from
was
the
given that in the Vatican, wasn't he?
yeah by the
it's just like
cardinal.
it's
Yeah,
just
but
like
why?
a word though. It could have just been because
Because
it
it
has
was
the same
like
symbol.
it was all that he had on him alongside Dracula's ring when he crawled up the steps.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's like the missing piece of the magic incantation to open the door. So they had like the abra, but they didn't have like the cadabra.
Oh, cadabra.
The first word said open.
Oh,
The secret
yeah,
word says
sesame.
door. It says door. Yeah.
Oh, we
In
were
the
just
name
missing
of God,
please.
open this blank.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm fucked. And that guy spent
never know.
generations trying to work it out. Open this. Open this.
So
You might not have been able to like read whatever strange language it was written in because it wasn't.
Yeah.
You needed Carl. Carl gets to reflect
Hercules.
earlier on when Anna says like, my dad spent generations trying to work this out. And it's like, yeah, but I wasn't here then.
Yeah.
Not saying I'm smarter than your dad, but I am saying that. So get over it.
Yeah. So
So-
they open that portal, the frosty portal.
Yeah. This is when we also have like the big reveal of, well, actually, Anna points out they already knew this, that the original member of that family, Dracula was his son, and he was murdered, but then made a deal with old Beelzebub himself and said, "Oh, let us come back as a vampire." And he goes, "All right then." And the Vatican were really angry with the guy and said, "You got to kill him," but he couldn't. So instead, he sent him through to a portal that takes him to, I guess, just it's not another dimension, is it? It's a castle far away on top of a cliff, and he just happened, but he wasn't really trapped there because he can fly.
Yeah, and use the portal, I assume.
So yeah, they go through a portal which takes them to, again, if this is a game, there'd be a little pop up here and said, make sure you've done all the side missions you're going to do, lads. Do all your upgrades, because after this point, there's no real coming back until the end.
Is that painting then in the Valerian household? Or is it in?
I think so.
Because that would mean that like he's literally just been living inside their house, and he could have just come out of the painting at any time and stabbed them in their sleep.
That is true.
But you can't get back once you go through, so maybe the door out of it is another one.
Different way.
Because when Carl tries to go back, it doesn't work. So that's only a one-way. There's a one-way system that's operating.
Yeah. How do they get out at the end?
It's like.
Damn it! I had questions. A different door, no trolleys.
Yeah. So things start to heat up as we sort of head towards the end here. Van Helsing is turning into a werewolf at this point. There's one bit where he, I think someone says something that pisses him off, and I think it's Carl, he lifts him up and strangles him. Yeah. And then his eyes go glowy, and he puts him down and says,
he throws something as well.
Sorry about
that. He throws like a something.
He throws like something at the wall. A big like chunk of electric piping-y stuff.
Yeah, he's of science pipes around. He's throwing off the science, and also they're allowed to get through the gate quicker because he can grab his friends and like just do like a rapid climb. Because
he holds X to build the leap, and then jumps.
Like a little wall-to-wall jump.
Yeah, does a little QTE to get over there. Because now he's in he's in like a prime position whereby he isn't a werewolf that works for Dracula yet, but he does have some werewolf powers just for a minute. He hasn't quite become the silky Timotei werewolf that he becomes a little bit later on.
Glossy, just all
all that marrowbone jelly he must have been having. He's got a wonderful coat, but he's not quite there yet. So he gets them in, and then they capture Igor. They have some mad bants with him, threatening to chop bits off of him if he doesn't cooperate. And Igor's a little weasel. He's very Benny, and he sells out Dracula right away because he's already bitching about him when they catch him. It's like, "Oh, do this, Igor, stupid." And,
don't pay me enough.
He's having a moan about him. He goes, "Oh no, yeah, there's a werewolf cure." And they've worked out at this point that Dracula needs to have a werewolf cure because he's weak against werewolves.
Yeah.
He is dark type. Werewolves are fighting types, I guess. Super effective and would be able to kill him. So he has to be able to turn people back from being werewolves in case one ever goes against him.
Yeah, and he keeps it in a really handy vat of acid.
Keeps it in a jar.
Keep all of your
Access.
important stuff in the acid jar. Car keys, biscuits.
It's a big old jar of hot dog brine. No one likes touching that. No one likes touching that.
Very dry. Yeah.
Delicious.
Got his jar of pickled onions, and one of them is a cure for werewolves. So Anna and Carl go to get the briny cure.
Yeah.
Frankenstein is still captured and is being loaded into the machine to bring all the babies to life.
It's going up in like a massive lift, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been sent up in the little gurney, the little lift, where he's going to get zapped by lightning. Because, of course, it's another rainy and stormy day in Transylvania.
Yeah.
Or wherever they are now. It may not be Transylvania. It could be mysterious realm where Dracula's castle is. And this is just big action scene accelerating to the end. So Van Helsing goes to confront Dracula. And all of these things kind of happen simultaneously, right? So we may as well do them one at a time. What do you want to do first? Do you want to do the cure?
Well, so they're going to save. How do they split it up? I think they keep reinforcing the idea that Frankenstein's monster. They could just save him and sacrifice Van Helsing's humanity, but the monster keeps saying, "Don't." Like he keeps egging on about save yourself, leave him to whatever.
Yeah, there's a bit where he's like, when he does get to the top to unbelt him, he's like, "This is gonna hurt," and Frankenstein's like, "I'm accustomed to pain." He's like, so dramatic.
This is where they bond and become friends, right? Because I'm accustomed to pain, and he goes, "Oh yeah, it makes you feel alive when you're tough dudes like us."
Yeah,
and then they do like that handshake. Yeah.
He says,
they do that one-armed man hug where they like slap on the back.
Yeah, like the fist on the back.
Yeah.
He says you have to. He says you have to go and save yourself, get the cure. And he says my friends are doing it for me. And he says like, friend. Again, like in Labyrinth. There's so many parallels to Labyrinth for me.
It's like, do you want one? And then they all put their hands in.
And then like
go planet.
And then they kiss, don't they? They kiss.
Yeah, they have a little kiss. Well, we have had a kiss at some point though, because while they were executing the plan that I cannot be clearer, needs to be executed very quickly. There is literally not a second to waste, because basically there is a 12-strike window between him being able to kill Dracula and being his servant. So timing is important.
It's like 11:54 on the time he's about to change.
Yeah. So. But don't worry, there is time for a little kiss, and they love each other now, which will give them the strength they need to complete their mission. So they make friends. Meanwhile, Anna and Carl find the serum in its pickle brine.
Yeah, they get like pushed in to the room, and Igor's like, "Wait, see you later. I'll leave you in here," and toddles off. And they have like a sit and a debate for like 5 minutes. Like when it comes back to them after Van Helsing and Frankenstein are like hugging it out on the roof, they're just like staring at the jar like, "You get it. No, you get it. Like, you go first. You get it."
Like, oh, you put your hand in
like
that acid.
really chill.
It's like, well,
they're not even off.
It's a good thing that neither one of them it's a good thing that neither of them do, because it is harmful, and one of them would have had their hand melted off.
Thankfully. Someone we care less about. The last Dracula bride turns up and they just whazz it in her face.
Yeah. So they have like a big battle. And is this the point where she's like, "You go when I say you can go"?
Yeah.
And it's like,
when you're dead.
When you're dead. Love it. What lines?
And it's like,
So
will I be able to hear you say I can go when I'm dead?
And someone goes out the window again, I think. Out another window.
No, someone comes in the window because Dracula comes up. Unfortunately, Frankenstein has been zapped just enough times to make the babies come to life in getting him out. And then in a scuffle on the rooftops, he gets pushed off, but he swings down through the window and takes out the vampire lady.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Frankenstein
which gives Carl room to escape and take the treasure. Carl and Anna both run off, and then Frankenstein just stays.
He says again, "Save yourself."
Yeah, and then they have the battle on the bridge, where there's like again a lot of swinging.
Yeah. So yeah, he swings down, and actually, which order does he get this in? Because he first Carl's getting chased by Igor with his little kettle prod accessory.
This is like after they get out of that locked room, I think.
Yeah, so Carl certainly escapes and gets down there. Either way, basically Frankenstein goes 2 for 0 in knockouts because first he's the one that sweeps Igor off the ledge.
Yeah.
And then he also comes in and beats up the bride of Dracula, allowing Anna to escape. So he's saving the day left and right.
Yeah. Because then Carl like pitches the cure to Anna, who's like swinging her way to victory and catches it.
That was the most stressful part of this film. I was like, you could blow this entire thing.
Pitch black out there as well. I'd never catch that.
And the needle point is like a foot long, so you could just stab it in you as you catch it. You there with it in the hand, like
through your hand.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It doesn't happen. And then we have one more encounter with the bride of Dracula. Anna gets to like the tower that she needs to get the treasure into to try and get the cure to Van Helsing. The bride turns up and says, "Oh, geez, I'm definitely going to kill you this time." And Anna gives us like a really punchy quote here where she's like, next time you're talking about killing someone, just bloody get on with it, why don't you?" And she goes, "What?" And then gets stabbed in the back.
Staked through the
she gets staked.
I think, yeah.
And then that's the third bride of Dracula gone. So that's Igor gone, bride of Dracula gone. Yeah. Werewolf, new werewolf is rising because by this point, speaking of just killing someone instead of talking about it, we have a scene where Van Helsing becomes the silky werewolf and beats up Dracula, but then transforms back because of our Lord and Master the Clouds.
It's also like the reason he transforms back so often is just so for dialogue. Yeah. It seems that there's no dialogue unless they turn back into their human forms. None of these beasts are speaking English while they're fighting. So for dialogue and for exposition, we need them to be back in their human forms.
Yeah,
I'm quite glad. I don't think I'd like to see like the silky, pointy Van Helsing werewolf chatting. I think that would have been a bridge too far for me. I'd have had to
I feel like they should just left out the dialogue. If they're going to fight, they're going to fight. Let them fight. That should just been
or even because like you could have just had it with Dracula doing his little bits of we could be brothers, blah 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 blah. You don't need him to necessarily pop back to being Hugh Jackman and go no, and then pop back again.
No, I will not.
I'm
not interested.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, it's like, do you? I'll give you memories back as now, mate. Don't want them because he points out that it was you that killed me because you were the right hand of. Maybe that's why his name's Gabriel in this. It's like, you were the left hand of God. You did me in good and proper when I was just a guy. And it's like, I'll give you the memories back if you want. And he says, that's all right. Don't mind not having them.
I think he says some things are better left forgotten or something like that, doesn't he?
That's it. And then he turns to the werewolf one more time and then bites his neck out.
Rips his throat out. Killing Dracula also kills all the little babies as well.
Yeah.
Which is handy, if anything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. wouldn't have needed to have killed any of his wives because they'd have all died.
Yeah.
Would they have died, or would they have got better?
And they'd have died in this world because they reckon it's anything that he made. So I assume he made them, not just met him on like a dating site. So.
Yeah, but what if they were normal people before they were? Would they be normal people again? Would they be dead?
They'd be dead.
Oh well.
Dead, that's it. Yeah. So
I don't know about vampire cure. Werewolf cures quite often will let you go back, but I don't know about. There's not that many vampires getting cured in films.
Good point. So Anna turns up with the werewolf cure, but then Van Helsing, it's strange because Van Helsing as a werewolf seems to have a certain amount of control of his actions. You know, he knows he needs to fight Dracula and kill him, and the fact that he kind of sees Anna and immediately just goes, "Ah, I've missed you! I've missed you!"
That's just it. Like, you know, the dogs are excited when you get in.
Yeah.
They don't really work out that it's only been 5 minutes. If you've been out, you've been out. Could have been all day. And he jumps on her. This is the thing that always got me. And this is like, even through years of not seeing this film, this is what I've always remembered. He probably knocks her into the softest thing she's been knocked into for the entire film.
Carries her to a couch, and she dies without a mark, perfectly like an angel.
I think this is because of all the accumulative damage that
that
tree.
She's been dying from internal bleeding since the first scene, I think.
She's had like a slow puncture in the lung and all sorts.
You know, like when you're playing like a Street Fighter or something like that, and you've been taking all these terrible blows, and then at the end, Dalsim just uses that long leg sweep to like kick you in the shin and knocks you out. Maybe that's it. Just one more. She's like, oh, I'm on red. If I take one more hit, then I'm done. I'm literally going to drop down dead, and that's what happens. The softest bit of furniture in the castle is enough to.
But she does manage to administer the cure pitch perfectly, you know, just straight in there with the plunger as well.
Yeah.
So she's managed to save the day. Van Helsing's fine.
Transforms back, does a big howl as he's trying, because, like, you know, Carl's.
Oh no! he's only known her for like 2 days. Get over it.
They're in love now, Ben. I don't know if you noticed that. Come on.
Yeah, we're all like that in that village, too, aren't they?
It's true. As soon as the outsider turns in, I want him, please. Give me that one.
They're all looking to pair up for the fresh people in town between Perv Carl and Van Helsing.
Glossy Van Helsing.
Yeah,
Horny Carl. Beautiful. Did you call him Perv Carl?
Yeah, Perv Carl. What did he whisper to that woman?
He just said,
nothing. Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, he kind of whispered.
I'm gonna wear you like a cape.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Let's not cancel him.
I don't even know what that means. What does that even mean?
Unsure. Drape him over his shoulders, I guess, and flounce about the house.
The Monopoly guy. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, for all we know, he could have whispered like, "Oh, maybe I could take you for dinner somewhere. Just see where it goes from there. Just casual at first. If it becomes something more, then so be it." Maybe that's what he whispered, but I don't think so. She looked pretty shocked.
He said, "I'm hung like an oxen." That's what he said. And she went, "Oh, love oxen."
Probably just whispered, "Have a go on your bits, please." And she was like, "You can't say that, can you?"
Oh yeah.
And she was, "Well, it's all right. I'm a friar." And she was, "Oh, fair enough then."
Have a go on your bits. Jesus.
That's so traumatizing. That's the worst one.
Yeah, so then that's
thankfully Anna's dead, so she didn't have to hear that.
Thankfully.
Thank God.
Dead in the most painless way possible, softly dropped onto a sofa. Yeah. And that's pretty much it.
A little Viking funeral and see her in the clouds.
That'd be horrific though, because like she's on the top of those rocks. Can you imagine standing there for that funeral, seeing the person burn away? That's definitely not one you hang around for. That's why they have those curtains.
How do you feel about the family in the clouds moment?
So grim. Like, I think, to be honest, now I just turn it off at that point. I'm like, get to the howl. I'll be like, right,
I was confused because I was like, Van Helsing's there as well. And I remembered it was her brother. I was like, he's not dead. He's right there.
He's got lower definition when he's in clouds, though.
All gathering for a little posed photo as well. Imagine that in heaven. You're like, just come over to the clouds a minute. What? Well, Van Helsing's down there. We've got a pose for him.
Yeah.
Gotta let him know
there's-
that we've all made it safe and sound.
There's a
Yeah.
couple of
Bye,
generations.
bye.
There's a couple of generations in the middle. One's like died at an awkward age and things like that. And he's like, "Oh, I didn't even know him, mate. I don't want to be in it."
Yeah. Van who?
They got
I
things
don't
to
give a
do.
shit.
Leave me alone.
You've known him for 2 days, Anna. God.
Oh, listen, Gary. You've been in limbo for 300 years. You can come and spend 2 minutes, saying, "Oh, it's an online game. I can't even pause this."
There will be
And,
online games. You can pause online games in heaven.
I bet you can. maybe I've re-established some interest in a faith. You can pause online games in heaven. Yeah, they all come along and they all say thanks to Van Helsing.
Yeah.
Probably the most beautiful moment of any piece of cinema. The little tear that Cloud Anna
Oh
sheds.
yeah.
Yeah. And then they ride off into the sunset for the other two films.
Yeah,
Yeah.
although
Nice
Frankenstein has
adventure.
been Frankenstein, it's absolutely shat on yet again because he's offered him friendship and so on, and we
Yeah.
know that he can't go to the Vatican because they've actually issued orders saying, "You got to kill Frankenstein. He's not human. He's against God." And Van Helsing doesn't believe in that, but then invite him even to stay for the funeral. He doesn't get to say goodbye. He just goes on not a particularly good boat, just 2 logs lashed together.
Yeah.
He gets to just row
He gets
out
a little
to sea.
raft to just raft away on.
That wealthy family couldn't even give him like a proper boat with oars. They're just like, "No, off you go. Raft, bucket of fish heads, off you go, mate." And he's off. But yeah, you're right. Onwards and upwards to the further adventures of
Van Helsing
Carl.
and Carl.
Van Helsing and special guest Carl.
Well,
Okay.
it's funny that you should mention the sequels because I've got the names of the sequels
Oh yes.
No.
in
way.
another round of the name game. See if you can guess the name of sequels. This next one, number 2 in the franchise, is going to be about a famed monster hunter sent to Transylvania again to stop Count Dracula again, who's using Dr. Frankenstein's research and the werewolf to make a custard dessert with a layer of clear caramel sauce.
Van Helsing.
Van
Okay.
Helsing. Good, well done.
Sounds delicious.
I
Next,
was like,
movie-
Van Trifle?
Van Trifle sounds great. This next one in the franchise, a famed monster hunter sent to Transylvania to stop Count Dracula using research and a werewolf to make a person out of snow.
Snowman Helsing.
Snowman
Nice.
Helsing.
Snowman Helsing.
Snowman Helsing.
This next one, famed monster hunter sent to Transylvania to stop Dracula using Frankenstein's research and a werewolf to deliver little bottles of milk to everybody in this neighborhood.
Milkman Helsing. Milkman Helsing.
Milkman Helsing. You definitely want to get this one. Famed monster hunter sent to Transylvania to stop Count Dracula, who's using Dr. Frankenstein's research and a werewolf to make a type of cooking pan to warm their sauce.
Pan Helsing? Saute
Well,
Pan Helsing.
Saucepan Helsing.
Saucepan Helsing, I've got here, but Pan Helsing works as well. And last one, famed monster hunter sent to Transylvania to stop Count Dracula, who's using Frankenstein's research and a werewolf to make his wings go longer.
Wingspan Helsing.
Wingspan Helsing, yeah. Well done.
Great restraint not having Gran or Nan Helsing.
Yeah, Nan Helsing could have been one. That's a prequel. Gran Helsing.
Maybe that's how he defeats his, like when he defeats the mummy of all things, right? Van Helsing himself can't do it, so he has to go back to his roots and find his own grandmother.
Nan
Only
Helsing.
she can defeat. Only Gran Helsing can defeat the mummy.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Yeah, we need to rate the film. I'm quite curious to know where you guys are gonna go. I'm fairly certain I know where I'm going to go. But have you go first? Because I think we know where you...
10 out of 10. What did you wonder? Go on. What
Oh,
did
it's
you
an
score?
8.
grades.
Yeah.
I give it a
Demerit.
solid A.
Solid A.
It's not an A plus, but
Solidarity. Yeah.
it's a...
What about you guys?
Respect that.
I respect that. I
I
don't agree with it, but I respect it.
I don't agree with all of y'all, but I respect it.
I do enjoy this film. As I say, get a great sense of comfort from it, and it's a good time. It's fun. But, watching it for the sake of reviewing on a podcast, there were some grievances I had, which I've already mentioned. But also just some plot holes, things that kind of annoyed me a bit. So I was a bit like, oh, God. And it is a bit frustrating that we never got to see a sequel. It's almost like they blew their beans with all the monsters in this one, didn't they? They just went, right, get them all in there. What's that? Frankenstein, get him in. Werewolves, Dracula, Jekyll and Hyde. They're all there. Dracula, Count Dracula, Count Duckula, Count Quackula. We got them all. But I still have fun with it, so I will go for a B minus.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
All B minus. Ben, here he is.
Got it.
You go, Luke.
Yeah, I'll get mine out of the way. I never watched this one growing up, so I don't have any of the nostalgia that you guys may have. So I found it a little bit long and quite. It's like 2 hours, like 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's so long.
It's long for this type of film, right? You're right. It's over 2 hours. Punchy 90, you'd be all right. I just think if I was going to put a movie on like this, I'd put The Mummy on. I'd put The Mummy Returns on before I put Van Helsing on.
What about Scorpion King?
I'd be tempted to watch that. To Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
The Rock's very charming.
Yeah. I'm going to go with a D plus.
Why did you stop when you said A? You went, I'm going to go with A, D plus. Why would you do that?
Ben edits these, Luke. He'll change it.
D plus is bad. That's mental.
I don't know. I just I found it quite exhausting. It was long, too long. If we got like a nice cut of it, then it might be a bit zippier.
At least the Condor cut.
Yeah. What about you, Andy?
I probably fall somewhere in the middle of you, Luke, and Ben. I think that I have some of the same issues that you do. If I'm reviewing this against all the other movies we've talked about, especially, I think that I'm with you in the sense that it's probably a little long for the type of movie it is. With a bit of restraint, you could have tightened it up and it would be that same punchiness that you get from a film like The Mummy. And I think you probably nailed it on the head where if you put these two films side to side for a little Sunday matinee, I'd probably choose The Mummy every time. But there are things about it that I like as well. Hugh Jackman is always, always a charming arrival in a film. And there are some fun things about it. It doesn't take itself seriously. I kind of like the aesthetic and the setup that they have, with his cool gadgets and the James Bondish things about it. So there is fun to be had, but just doesn't quite pull off what it had the potential to do for me. So I am going to give this a C. I'm going to give this the score of C. Oh, do I go minus or flat? No, I'm going to go flat C because I had fun talking about it with you all today.
Good reason.
Cool. Don't know what that averages out at. Just right in the middle, I guess.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening. You can become a patron at patreon.com/Hawk and Cleaver. Thanks to Kovac Carmen for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Thanks to the listeners. If you enjoyed the show, please consider rating and reviewing. Thanks to my co-hosts, everyone, Ben, Andy, and Heather. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
guys.
Follow Ben on Twitter at Ben_Errington.
Yep.
Andy is at Andy CT Wrights. And Heather, I guess would be at, I've no idea, Heather Valkyries or something like that.
It's best bet is to hit us up at the Valkyries blog.
Okay.
That's
Cool.
where the good
All right.
movie takes are. Sometimes.
Anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
My ears hurt.
Or on the headphones?
Oh, you've been squeezing your head too
I'm
much.
squeezing my head, yeah.
Your head does look smaller.
Yeah, it feels smaller.
Uh-oh.
I've lost something. I've lost a bit of head girth during this episode, for sure.
Yeah.
What?
Looks longer. You turn into a xenomorph.
I think what we've learned is that the Van
Gonna be a
Helsing was the friends
Benable.
you made along the way.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's true. Friend? That's
Do you
right,
want
Frankenstein. Do you want one?
If
You
we
want a
were
friend?
recording this in person, we'd all put our hands into the middle now, like the
Well,
Power Rangers that team became.
We'll do it.
And we'd all do a backflip like Kate
in
Beckinsale at
November.
the same time.
We'll do a special friend picture when we get to
Of
T-Bubs.
course.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Oh yeah.